Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdcast. It is Devin broadcasting as always live from an undisclosed location in the center of Texas on a cold as hell Monday evening. I'm joined with Kelly and Justin over on Zoom. What's up, Justin? How you doing? Oh, it's going pretty good. Hold on, let me turn this down a little bit. Actually, we don't need that anymore. There we go.
Coming in too hot?
No, you were coming in very soft.
Oh.
But it was also because the desktop audio was up a bit too loud. But I think we're sounding good so far. How you doing?
Cool. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Your studio setup makes you look like you're very warm right now. You look warm
it?
and professional.
Yeah, well, this is actually my setup when I work. When I like Zoom with people on sessions and stuff.
Yeah.
This is what it, So it's designed to
It's
make
designed
it
to be
as
impressive.
humanly possible. Yes.
I like
very
it.
much So.
I like it. It is impressive.
Notice, like, you can't see anything below here. You can't see all the crap on the floor and, like, the boxes of just random crap that I've got everywhere.
Well, you know what? So long as we can't see that, then it looks good. It looks warm. I say that because, like, I guess this is the first time I've had to, like, turn on my heater since I bought this house. Because I got it in June, It turns out heater doesn't work. So.
Well, wait, does it? It might be gas. Is it gas? Are the pilots lit? Because when we moved into our very first house, we made the exact same mistake. We're like, the heater's not working, but our pilots weren't lit. A lot of times when the house goes vacant, they'll turn the gas off. When the gas goes off, the pilot goes out. And then when you turn the gas back on, you know what I'm saying? The pilot's never lit again. So you need to go in. If it's a gas furnace, you need to go into where the pilots are. You need to relight that bitch and see if it works.
God damn! So I got to crawl up in the attic.
Yeah, if it's in the attic, yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Our furnace is in a closet, so.
Yeah, I think mine's probably in the attic. So.
Our old house, it was in the attic. Yeah, I had to crawl up there with a match. And there was like,
with a match.
There was like a little window in the middle, and you could see in there, and you could stick it in there, and then it lit up, and then boom.
Okay, well, I guess that's something I could do for tomorrow or whatever. Cool. Well, you know what? I've got my hoodie, so I'm good for now. I've got my slow cooker chili in the slow cooker, so that'll heat me up too. And I'm ready. I'm ready to finally talk about Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
It's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming.
Almost too long, because now it's like you're not trying to sell us anyone. It's known as a good,
Hold on a second. Let me see if I could.
Not the underdog movie anymore as much.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone eventually caught up.
Yeah.
I think honestly, it has a little bit to do with the fact that they've beat Michael Myers' dead corpse. You know what I mean?
15 years till everyone appreciates ends.
Until ends. I think that's okay. So I guess let's start there. Let's start with both of these 2 points here. Michael Myers being beaten to death, and the recent reboot trilogy having been brought to its conclusion. The cool part about Halloween 3: Season of the Witch is the idea that it was supposed to turn away from the Michael Myers story. The whole idea is that it was going to be an anthology series, starting with this one, where it tells a whole series of different horror stories that happen on Halloween.
And we're too young to remember, but because I was born the year this happened.
Yeah, this came out in 82.
When it wasn't Michael, I guess.
I'll go you one better. I'm going to go red alert on this bad boy. I want to say
red alert.
I want to say that the.
Hold on, let me see if I have red alert on my soundboard. It may not be red. It may just be. Oh, there is a red alert. Let's see what this sounds like. Nice. I don't know if you can hear it. It's going into the desktop. It's a solid red alert sound. Okay, it's going on too long. There we go. Now it just ended. Okay, I hit the red alert for you. So what do you got for me?
I'm just gonna say this is like this is one of the ill effects of capitalism. I think you know what I mean. I'm not. I just think that this example of where they went after this. You know what I mean? It's just it's indicative of a whole lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that plagues, I think, entertainment right now. You know what I mean? because they were going to do the same thing with Stranger Things. I was sitting thinking about Stranger Things not that long ago, and I was like, you know what? They should have never made a season 2 of Stranger Things.
That's what I've been
The
saying.
season 2
Those
ending,
characters.
like the kind of like the seeing the where it's still out there
Yeah.
would have been a cool ending.
I've been saying this for years. Like I loved season 1 of Stranger Things. It was such a cool,
good.
unique thing. And season 2 wasn't bad,
It was
but
fine. It was. I liked the characters. It was fine.
Yeah.
You know.
but it would have
But
been
it
much
wasn't
better
as good as season
served.
1.
It would have been a much better served to the IP, I think, and maybe the books that Netflix has the numbers on that will prove me wrong there. But I think it would have been better, I guess, from a creativity standpoint, to just
Yes,
move away
an
to
artistic standpoint.
yeah, to just
Yes.
do an anthology thing. It's Stranger Things. You could
And
make
that's
it
what
about
was supposed to
anything.
be.
Yeah.
That's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be an anthology show, just like Halloween was supposed to be an anthology thing. But they were like, "Holy shit, we got lightning in a bottle! This show's so popular. This cast is amazing. We just got to keep doing the same thing." And so they literally just did the exact same thing again in season 2 to diminishing returns. They mixed it up and tried to do like a kind of 80s communist, Russia, kind of film, Red
Which was
Dawn kind of
weird.
thing, horror thing.
Like there's
Which
this
was,
whole thing. They had to
fine. I
escalate
enjoyed
it.
it a little
They just because that's the issue when if you keep bringing back the same characters, then you're faced with the problem of having to escalate their dilemma.
To diminishing returns every time. And basically it's just kind of like, oh, we found a pot of gold, but when we go back the second time, there's not as much gold in the pot, but there's still gold in there, so they go back a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time, and they'll keep doing it until eventually. And to me, the Halloween series is a perfect example of that taken to its almost utterly asinine conclusion. You know what I mean? And it all starts when they move off of after Season of the Witch. And it's crazy too, because there's a lot of shows out right now, a lot of season 1s, particularly on the Apple network, that were absolutely bangers. Like Severance, total banger. That show was so good. And Silo, also great. And I was like, you know what? I was thinking about those shows and how I kind of wanted to see where it's going to go. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe it's good if they just ended right there. I mean, it was an absolutely banger season. The way it wrapped up, it would make a great short story. It's an excellent short story. We don't need to know how that works out or all the backstory. It's just that's it. Let's move on to something else. Give me something else. New characters, new thing. It's like an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Well,
They'll never ever do it. As long as people will watch, it'll be like, okay, so what do we do with the characters now? I don't know. Maybe they find like an amulet, and then the amulet, it's like, yeah. It's just, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
About these though, I'm not gonna lie, because I was that young age. I grew up watching every Halloween movie just back to back to back, and I know half of them are bad, but I still love them most. But yes,
I was a little older. I do not.
No, because whenever the late '81 started happening, that's when I kind of started seeing them at the video store when I was like 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, and this is the thing. Do you know I actually avoided part 3 for years because I got told by the crowd
to avoid it?
It's not Michael, so I did not watch that thing for several more years later. So I fell for it.
Well,
I did.
Well,
I just never rented it. It could have been that simple. Yeah.
Here's the funny thing. So I was born in 1977. So when Season of the Witch came out, I was 5. Now I didn't see it right when I was 5, obviously. I saw it on TV in the kind of later 80s. It was Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was weirdly one of those movies that always would get played on Channel 27 around Halloween time. And I caught it and I was like, this movie is fucking bonkers. You know what I mean? And I was just like, dude, this is wild. And then it's like, oh, it's Halloween. I was like, well, there's no Michael Myers. But the thing is I actually just found the movie first. It's like, it's sci-fi.
You saw it as
horror.
like a regular movie before you thought about it.
I was just like, this is wild. And I just liked the vibe. In a way, I felt like it kind of filled the Halloween vibe more than actual Halloween movie did. You know what I mean? Because I having been more cognizant through the slasher movie phase. So, Friday the 13th, like back in the day when Friday the 13th was more the zeitgeist,
and that's
the first one that just came out. Like that's all we talked about at school.
That's the important thing
to. Have you seen the first one? Have you seen the second one?
And that's the important thing to note about, the whole this movie being a failure and them not wanting to get rid of the Michael Myers character. This happened at the peak of like slasher IP with Friday the 13th.
81, I think.
You know, wait, Friday the 13th was that 81?
80 or 81.
It may have been 80,
but
it was around that same time.
Which was a ripoff because Paramount turned down Halloween.
Yeah,
and then they made their own.
Yeah, so like you know, I understand entirely why the studio didn't, especially after this movie was a box office failure in the same year that I think another Friday the 13th movie had come out at that time and was a success. So I understand why they were like, all right, you know what, let's go back to Michael Myers and et cetera, et cetera. Like it was just kind of like the opposite. It was the opposite of lightning in a bottle. Like it was like the wrong type of movie at the wrong time. But that, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad movie. Although it might be. I still don't know for certain if it's a bad movie or not.
It's hard to judge it in the words of Jules Winfield from Pulp Fiction, according to Hoyle. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough movie to just go like, this is a bad movie.
Yeah.
Because you watch it in some ways. I like the kind of movies that came on Channel 27, like on like Saturday night in, you know, late October at, you know, 2 a.m. were always kind of bad movies, but that's what made them kind of great. You had like zero expectations, you know, so it was just like, oh wow, there he's a robot. Oh man, now she's a robot too. Holy shit, you know. And then it's like when I went back as an adult and watched it a few more times, because I've seen it at this point like, I don't know, 30 times or something. You know, you go back and you're
like, it's a lot of times to see this movie.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, but I see it in parts. It's one of those movies where if I catch it in the middle of it, I'm in till the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm in until they reveal it's Stonehenge, and you know.
So I guess, and getting to the general gist of this movie, yeah, it's not Michael Myers. He's not the guy we're following, or it's not Jamie Lee Curtis. Instead, it's Tom Atkins. What's the character's name?
Dan.
It's
just
Tom.
Dan.
It's just Dan. He plays.
Sorry, Daniel. Or they also say Doctor. Is it Chalice?
Dr. Chalice. That's what it is.
Sorry,
yes, Dr. Chalice.
Dr.
They call him Dr.
It's
Chalice.
probably only Ellie that calls him Dan.
Probably because everybody
Does he
else
not come off like a doctor at all. He's like an
I
action
thought
star.
about
No.
I thought it's weird. Any other time he would have probably been a cop. I thought
Yes,
about that.
this is
watching
a
it.
hard-boiled detective
That was a
movie.
note I made. I said, if you think about the way he went after and look at it, any other movie would have been a cop, not
Yes.
a doctor.
Which it's almost weird that they made him a doctor, honestly, because like he doesn't ever really do, like there are some moments where he says, "I'm a doctor," but other than that,
one woman.
other than that, there's really no doctoring that he does at all. He tells us like a receptionist. He's like giving her orders to like research people and shit. I'm like, this is like a receptionist at like a hospital. Why is she doing like?
I think she just works like I don't even.
His main prescription is knuckle sandwiches.
Who gets all the ladies?
Like,
you notice he got all the ladies. Anyone?
Oh yeah, because he
even
was
the nurse he fake flirted with. I'm sure she'd have been like, "Let's go in the break room."
Oh yeah,
right
well
now.
this dude is like,
Except his ex-wife.
this dude is like this is like what men used to be. This is what men, like there was that scene where he was at the bar just smoking and drinking and just like this leathery surly face, and I was like, yeah. This is some man shit right here. He's gonna
He needs
like,
the
he gets
football
with that
game
chick
on. He's like the other
almost instantaneously.
The-
And she's
the-
like a quarter of his age.
No, I wrote that down. No, I wrote that down. I wrote that down. It wasn't until after possibly the second time of sex. How old are you?
Yeah.
Took him
wait. He
that-
actually asked that.
Yes, he does.
Oh
and I said
boy!
it was possibly after the second time, at least the first time, possibly second time. He says, it is.
Damn, he didn't even give a shit. He was just like,
You
all
gotta
right,
think,
we're
like,
doing it.
Someone was like, it's kind of weird that she'd sleep with him so fast. And it's like, I know how we fix that, because we got to have the sex. They're like, how do we do it? She's a robot, and she's just doing it to get in there. You know what I mean? She's just it's all. And they're like, ooh, make her a robot. Okay, great, yeah. Tell art department we're gonna need some girl robot parts. You know what I mean? It just seems like it's such a last minute thought. You know, it's like, at what point did they make her a robot? Was she always a robot, or was that
I
in
don't
that
think
little
Silly got
point?
captured.
I think my understanding was they made a robot of her after she
Yeah, that's
got
why she
kidnapped.
doesn't talk again after that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she does, doesn't she? She does talk though.
No,
doesn't
because
she?
he kind of rescues her, or maybe I don't know. I didn't think
I
she's
don't they
really
converse?
quiet. I don't know. I thought he was just okay. I haven't.
Well, we have the summary right here. Let's see if
I
they.
will say this: if they, I mean, I always assumed you're right. Like they got her and they made a robot, after that. However, like that's really quick. Like they really
I've
made
always
a
said-
robot out of her
No,
super fast.
I've always said the one everything's ridiculously fun in this movie, but the one thing that makes no sense except for the shock of the scene of him realizing in the car was why did they do that? Why did they make her the robot? And I think it was just for him to get attacked in
Yeah.
the car. That was it.
Why not?
It's the only reason. And I guess to put him on his own for the ending scene. So
Okay, it says as they
I mean, this is a
flee.
bleak fucking movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Not to
mean,
the gas station attendant who's still smiling, handing out candy to the kids, like as he's trying to get people off the broadcast.
Yeah, he
Like,
has
"Hey,
no
kids,
idea what he's
candy."
about to witness.
Yeah.
as they flee, Daniel is attacked by Ellie, who is actually an android replacement, which he destroys after a struggle. So I guess that was, but they never show her.
What happened to the real Ellie? Did
They
kill her?
never. I guess they
Yeah.
never address it. So maybe they just killed her and replaced her with a robot.
Yeah.
Actually,
that's what I figured.
they're gonna reboot her character, starring Millie Bobby Brown on Netflix. It's gonna be Halloween 3: Season of the Witches or Season of the Warlock.
Season
and it'll
of
be
the
a whole
Warlock.
season of just.
Okay, yeah. So Dr. Atkins. So the movie starts off with like this dude. He gets hospitalized. He's chased by one of the Men in Black looking, or not Men in
The
Black.
bad robots.
Yeah, the guy robot who looks like a fucking dude from the Matrix, I guess. There's all these robots that are dressed in suits like that guy from the Matrix. And he kills him in his hospital bed after, the Dr. Chalice was tending to him. And I guess that's the reason why the doctor is like so hung up on this thing. Is like, he was my patient, and then he warned me that they were going to kill us all, and then suddenly he winds up dead. So then he takes it upon himself.
And the killer ends up killing himself in an explosion.
And then, the car exploded. That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's pretty weird. If you
Yeah.
were the doctor, you'd be like, "Okay, this is pretty weird. I
Yeah.
want to get to the bottom of this."
But then when the hot dog.
But then I'd
visits-
probably
yeah.
work with the police department to do that, though.
Well, then you'd get a call from your job saying like, "Hey, you got to pay other patients.
Yeah,
you got to come in
ex-
on Monday."
Exactly.
Like he's just like, "Hey, hold all my calls. I'm going to go on an adventure for a week."
Yeah, that's really what it is too. Like at some point, he does get paged. He's got this, and it's like again, the manliest man. He's got an ex-wife with kids that he has to tend to.
Yeah, and she's the
you
only
know?
one that hates him.
She,
But the other funny thing just to note, this is just one of those inside notes, that's played by Nancy Keys, who was, I want to say Annie, her name's Annie, that she was the one that was Linda
Yeah.
in the original Halloween. And that's what's
oh,
funny.
okay.
You think about how young Jamie Lee was in that movie in the first Halloween, how she was like 17, 18.
Yeah.
The other two girls were in their late 20s at that point. So yeah, that's actually the one that was the Linda one, the first
Okay,
one that
I
dies.
didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah, that's her just several years later, but actually playing closer to her real age and not
That
high school
scene
kid.
is like, that's a very specific cut. That's a late 70s, mid early 80s kind of boomer parent cut thing. There were so many, divorce was so, it was so popular in America. Popular makes it sound like it was some people wanted. but
Yeah, it was just.
It was very much a scene where he shows up and she's just on his ass. You know what I mean?
the old
Seems
battle
miserable,
axe.
She seems miserable. The kids are pretty much an afterthought. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like, I got you a mask. And he's like, we don't even like this mask. We like the.
Yeah,
he's
we
like,
got our
"Oh."
own mask, and she was like, "Nice try." And I
Yeah, it was.
like, this guy's trying though. He's trying. He is trying.
He's trying, but you felt this alienation. I mean,
Yeah.
on some level, it's. There's some other stuff going on in the movie, just as a kind of reflection of the period. That makes it interesting in a way that maybe some of the other Michael Myers-based movies aren't as interesting. I think they were trying to way more make a comment. I mean, John Carpenter has said as much, on some of the negatives of that society at that time. The television and the kids being obsessed with it and wanting to watch it, and it literally turning their brains into mush. That's all pretty on the nose stuff. As he was trying to,
Yeah. Hold on, I'm just seeing what Oh yeah, that's right. They did
Okay.
have the
That
they
was
did
all-
have the call out.
That's part of the timeline thing I was talking about. This yeah, it's in the world of the movies existing. That's why when I made my little sheet of paper, Devin, I did a dot. I did like a dotted line
Yeah.
about the how this is its own timeline, but it's in the where the movies, at least part one, possibly you would assume part two exist as
what is-
movies.
What is going on here? I'm trying to. All right, can you see this, Justin?
Yeah.
That's quality.
240. 240p is the best quality here.
Nice.
Sweet. Running out of time. What does that mean? Oh, because it's like I guess we have 10 minutes before this Zoom thing ends because I'm not paying for it.
Oh.
Do we redo it again?
Yeah, I'll just relaunch it again.
Tell you what, let me send you a Zoom link because I've got infinite Zoom.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you send me a Zoom. Well, so yeah, send it to me on. Can you send me a Discord message with the Zoom link?
Yeah, I guess I can.
Yeah, just send it to me there then. Okay.
Playing the bar scene. Oh no, we're playing the scene.
I was just looking at different
1 second. I'm
different
gonna
clips.
leave and then I'll.
Look at him though. I like this. This is like the epitome of the 70s man.
Yeah.
He's like just
He's like,
sitting
I need
there.
my football game on.
Well, it was kind of weird that they were just watching like
Yeah.
Cartoons.
That's true.
I guess maybe not so weird now, but back in like the early 80s, it's a little weird that they would be playing like Tom and Jerry at a dive bar. But yeah, this is the only appearance of Michael Myers in this movie, just this call out, which really makes me wonder, like, so I guess Halloween was just a movie in this world?
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's its own thing. It's got it's.
I wonder if like was there ever a Halloween movie after where they show a character watching Halloween 3 Season of the Witch?
No, but you know what made me think about that? I meant to look this up because the original Halloween is famous for showing the kids on Halloween night watching the original Thing, like the 50s, before he even made the Thing a few years later, his version, Doug Carpenter.
Yeah.
I think in the newer Halloweens, I think they're watching Carpenter's The Thing as like a nod. I know it's still not watching Halloween, obviously, but
Yeah.
I mean, they can't do it now because they're all connected, unless they were, gonna watch something from the out of canon or whatever, one of the other timelines.
Let me get that going again so that I can switch to live view. And then check my other messages here. There we go. What? I already have this shit.
I was all scared you might have to connect through you since it's your thing, but I guess not.
Open meeting. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, now I have to go back to desktop and kill this video so that it can there we go. Now we have to wait for him to all right, just waiting for him to admit me to the room. Here we go. Here we go. All right, there we go.
Hey.
Yeah, sorry, I actually selected not for there not to be a waiting room. I don't know why and it also didn't even notify me that you were in the waiting room. I'm not a big
um,
fan of the waiting room.
yeah, I'm not either, but I guess it's a way to just kind of control how many people you can have jump into a spot if you've got like some kind of a public link or whatever. Anyway, we were just talking a little bit about damn, what were we just talking about?
Just at the bar.
Well, we were talking about the bar.
Oh, how it's
but,
the only appearance. And
oh yeah, it was the only appearance of Michael Myers, and I was wondering if they ever showed any scenes from Halloween 3: Season of the Witch and any of the other Halloween
the
movies.
one connection is, sorry, you just made me think about it. In the newer movies, because there's Halloween scenes, I think you see him on the streets in the first one, and then some kids that he attacks in the second one, Halloween Kills, are wearing the masks. You see 3 kids running around.
Okay.
So that's the nod. But besides that, yeah.
So they did have a nod.
Yes. Yeah, nothing beyond watching a movie or anything, but yeah, but each of the 3 masks are seen on the street. Yeah.
So the masks were actually real masks that were out at the time.
It's like the Scream one.
Just normal ass
Yeah.
masks.
They didn't have to make a Captain Kirk one like they did Michael's.
Yeah, they went into like some company that made masks, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll use these 3, and those. You can actually buy the masks now.
Yeah.
They remake them, but they're expensive,
Yeah,
dude.
'cause
I
they're
saw
all
them
cool,
at
yeah.
a Comic-Con, and they were like $70 a pop.
God damn, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like buying like like the helmet, Star Wars helmets or stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
was the company Silver Shamrock?
Silver Shamrock.
Yeah.
Yeah, Silver Shamrock. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you could get the mask, and it's a cool mask. I understand why it's $70 because it has all that circuitry in it and shit. But so long as you can avoid watching that commercial at that specific, this is a very particular plot that this warlock put into play. Like, so I get the idea behind it is, it's called Season of the Witch. There's no witch first and foremost, so don't expect witches. There is a warlock, an Irish warlock, who I guess has initiated this plan to pull, and he's known as a prankster. Like, the whole thing is pranks for him. Like, there was this guy that was like, oh, he was the guy that invented the sticky toilet paper prank. And I was like, first of all, how do you know this? Like, this isn't a pre-Wikipedia era, so, like, it's not like you were bored one day and Googled sticky toilet paper and just read about the history. Like, this guy is a true diehard of the prank industry, I guess. But he was saying this guy created, like, the dead dwarf gag, which I don't know what the fuck that could even refer to. Like, and all this other stuff. So he calls the Irish warlock dude. Do you know his name?
Is it Cochran?
Cochran, yes.
Yeah.
He says that this is like the ultimate prank. A prank on the children, where, he's getting these kids to wear these masks.
It's not a prank, though.
It's not. No, it's just murder. It's just...
No. His whole point of it, he says it at the end. He tells them it's a sacrifice.
Yes.
He says that because he's like super old. The idea is that Cochran's been alive since like the pre-Middle Ages. He's a warlock who's like 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
And he said that back in the day on Halloween they would sacrifice hundreds and hundreds and thousands, like hundreds of kids like that. He's like the fields ran red with the blood of children or whatever. And so this is basically his attempt to redo that.
Yeah.
Only using technology and one of those rocks from Stonehenge.
One of those rocks. You don't quite know how that factors in, but I guess it doesn't really matter. You just you got some computers and you got a rock from Stonehenge.
It makes as much sense as any of the Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees shit. You know what I mean? It's like, it's magic.
I guess, maybe. I mean, maybe those dudes had bulletproof vests. I don't know. As far as the rock and the computer interacting with one another,
Stonehenge is pretty mystical. I think they were chipping little bits of Stonehenge off, and they were actually putting it in the
inside of the mask.
Yeah, so it was somehow, basically the idea is that like they brought the rock over from Stonehenge, and they had it secretly in his thing, and he was chipping little bits of it off, and they were putting it in the thing, and that was the secret to connecting it all and making the magic work to sacrifice the kids.
There's got to
You
be
know,
a
I
better way to kill a bunch of kids than this.
I don't know. I mean, if you want to kill a lot of kids,
It's pretty dramatic.
I
too, having
guess.
bugs
At the same
coming out
time,
just the
and you
bugs
don't have a
eating
nuke on
kids.
hand.
And I guess he is making money in the process of killing
Well, I
these
will say
kids.
this.
It's like a
if you're- If
two-handed.
you're him, it's kind of win-win. You know.
You know,
Yeah.
were they made a joke about it being the last Halloween? Was it the last Halloween? Because when Dr. Chalice,
Dr. Chalice.
when he's running away at the end, he runs by a lot of boxes. They had a lot of unsold product.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you didn't sell as
You
much
did-
as you
yeah,
didn't,
I
you didn't
mean-
kill as many kids as you could have. 'cause
Yeah,
there's
seriously.
a lot of boxes there.
That's a lot of boxes, and that's all evidence after however many kids die. They're going to go to that warehouse and be like, oh, they were planning some crazy shit with this. Like, well, what's the plan here after? What's the plan on November 1st? You know?
The funny thing is that this movie suffers from the classic James Bond trope of like, we've caught you. Now we're going to have you die in the most, Rube Goldberg of ways. We're going to tie you up and just leave you here.
I kind of sort of get it for this because he wanted him to die in his weird, kind of watch the thing have
Yeah.
your face eaten way. I get what you're saying, but I also think this guy's so crazy he wanted him to die through the mask way.
Yeah, but he kind of also goes out like a bit of a I'm kind of surprised he made it 2,000 years because Dr. Chalice takes him out pretty easily.
Oh, it's like
He
when
just
he
kinda
goes-
like
Like when he he
Yeah,
claps
he's
and
like,
well done, you got
very
me.
good.
Which, by the
Unless
way,
he's like Emperor Palpatine and he's not
Oh.
actually,
Somehow
this is just like he's
Cochrane returns.
like I've been around. This is
Somehow,
just my current body.
somehow
I'll
Cochrane
somehow
returned.
return.
I want that to
We
be.
gotta make that.
Now
Me
that
too.
Halloween ends
dead
is out
speak.
there, we need to have a reboot
Yeah.
of this where somehow Cochrane has returned.
And you got to make Oscar Isaac like guest star just to
Yes,
say.
Oscar Isaac has to be in it just for that line alone. Oh,
He could be one of Chalice's kids grown up, maybe.
he could be the next Chalice.
I wonder if the guy who played Dan Chalice is still alive.
He is. I
Because you
looked
could
at-
do a deal.
Tom Atkins.
He's up there, but I mean, yeah, he's got to be high 80s. But man, I mean, I love him. Fog, a lot of stuff like
Oh man,
Maniac Cop.
he still looks like a looks
Well,
like
we
a
don't know when
handsome
that
dude.
is,
This is
but-
this says in 2023.
Okay,
Yeah, he still looks
What's
like
his
a
name?
Tom Atkins. I'm looking at his Wikipedia.
his age isn't on here, but I know I looked at. He's born in the 30s, so he's up
I
there.
mean,
He is.
Yeah, he's got to be old as hell.
Yeah, he's
old as
high
hell.
80s, I think.
Yeah, but I mean,
Let me see.
I mean, yeah, he's.
But no, he's great, man.
I'm
I mean,
looking
think
at
about it.
IMDb.
Night of the Creeps, Maniac
mean,
Cop,
he's still working. Final
Fog.
Oh,
Polybius.
he's on Creep Show right now. The new
Oh, I
Creep
haven't
Show
been watching
series.
that.
I haven't watched it
see.
either, but he's on there.
I don't see that on
He
this
was in-
list.
Born in 35.
2023 on the top of IMDb. Also, City on a Hill. He played Joe Congemi, 2 episodes. He was in a movie called Trick. He played Talbot.
Good for him.
Encounter. He was Professor Westlake. It's Professor. And he was in
Okay,
a remake
cool.
of My Bloody Valentine. He was in Law and Order.
Yeah,
I feel
he's-
like he'd be
he's-
on Law and Order.
He's still around. He looks like he would be on Law and Order or Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's still
Anyway.
around. He's
So here's my pitch. My pitch is he is like he's like in an insane asylum. You know what I mean? Because after all the kids got killed and stuff.
oh, he
at the end,
definitely
he's, like,
ended the
losing his
movie in a
shit.
way
Yeah.
that would seem that.
And then like Oscar Isaac is a doctor
This can make
who encounters the same exact thing. It's got to be completely unimaginative. Basically a retread of almost the exact first movie. Only he has to go to the insane asylum and talk to this guy to figure out what's actually going on. And he actually says, somehow Cochrane returned.
and we can draw another line on the little timeline I made, like talking to like the next movie.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay, so Kelly made a timeline.
Oh, it's the dorkiest,
of,
one of the nerdiest things. Not saying it's something I've ever done.
Let me see.
A year ago, when Ins came out, I was trying to explain to the girlfriend the timeline of these movies. You know, so I literally drew out a thing. So today, with some spare time, I made it look nice and did it kind of again to show like how all these movies are connected.
The
or-
hell? Okay,
Should-
can you see it, Justin?
Wish I had her handwriting
Yes.
for the other parts.
All right. Walk us through this timeline.
All right. Well,
here.
obviously the first one could end with Halloween 2, but I kind of stared because they called 4 and 5 4 and 5. I decided to leave it on the same line, right?
Okay.
Like if they just would have called it Resurrection, or they would have called it Return of Revenge, like they did Curse, I would have made another timeline. But because they called it 4 and 5, I kept that on the same line.
Okay, so
All right.
we start with the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
78,
Halloween, 1978. Then 1981 is Halloween 2.
Yeah, and then apparently Michael's supposed to be real dead.
Okay.
This is so sad.
I know. I love it though.
Not
I love this.
not that you made
No,
it.
no. I don't
This
care.
exists.
I love this though. I love these dumb
This is
movies.
no. I don't know. I think it's cool that you made it. I think it's sad
Yeah.
that each one of these movies represents money that was just thrown down. It's the same thing. It's like they always go back to the same point and be like, okay, we're gonna start here and pretend nothing happened after that.
They're doing a lot.
Then we're gonna go
Yeah,
here.
you know.
Hey, Bianca,
Breaks off,
welcome
like,
to the
3 times.
stream.
Yeah, because okay, well, if we want to go in order, let's leave the movie we're talking about out of the way. The next offshoot.
What's up,
was-
Jax?
Sorry,
man.
just saying that
Oh.
to Bianca who joined us here.
So in '98, they got Jamie Lee back, and they decided.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Okay.
Let's go back. Okay, so we ended up with 1981.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And
So then
Michael
this
Cloak
is-
dies. We think.
Yes, and then the little girl.
Yeah,
is,
who's Jamie Lee? Who's Laurie? Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie's daughter.
Okay,
Is that Danielle Harris? The
Yes,
actress?
yes.
Danielle Harris?
She's
Okay,
in
I
4 and
actually-
5.
I knew
you
her.
just
in
answered my
LA.
question.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, she came to our apartment one time to
That's
record some like an audition for a cartoon she was doing.
Oh, nice.
Well,
Okay.
She was friends with my brother.
So then she does come back. Is that why we have a branch here?
Okay, no. So just going across verse 4 and 5
Mm-hmm.
starts that, and also starts the Thrawn thing about the whole cult where it's getting really ridiculous.
Okay, wait, Colt, what?
Well, there's like the cult that believes Michael is like, like there's like a cult around him that really kicks up in 5, and then the curse one that has Paul Rudd, which has a lot to do with that too.
Oh.
Because 4 and 5 go well together. Yeah, 6 is ridiculous, but the producers cut slightly better. Anyway, so in '95 with Curse, Loomis dies at the end. That's also
Yes.
right whenever Donald Pleasance actually died as well. That
Oh.
kind of ends that.
Did they
thing.
kill him in the movie?
You hear him scream in the end,
Wait, I mean,
off screen.
okay.
But I'm trying. In the Curse one, it doesn't happen. I'm trying to. I mean, in the producer's cut, because there is a different cut, kind of.
Okay.
I have that one on my. I need to rewatch that. I just bought that one for my Voodoo. I need to rewatch that first. Okay, so let's just say that's over with. In 1998, for the 20th anniversary,
Yo, what's up, Poxboard? He
They-
says
they
somehow
show.
Devin has returned.
that works. But yeah, so they got Jamie Lee back in 1998, but we're gonna ignore 4, 5, and 6 because she now has a kid who is played by Hartnett,
Yes.
like Josh Hartnett. So basically, Danielle Harris never happened, but she had a kid. And this one actually acknowledges part 2, unlike the recent ones. That movie.
Wait, so where are we at here?
okay,
on
we're in
this?
'98.
We're in this one.
H2O, yeah.
H2O. Okay.
See, I remember when that came out. They actually put some money behind that. That
I-
was like, we're rebooting
No,
this thing. We're
my-
restarting it.
My funny story about Halloween H2O, and I wish I actually wanted to go to walk up to Jamie Lee when she came to our premiere at Fantastic Fest for the 18 one.
Yeah.
I was 16. The day I had tickets to see that, I scratched my mom's car slightly. I was more scared about missing that movie than telling my mom that I scratched the car, and I had to tell her. She goes, "Go to your movie. We'll deal with this later." But anyway. So yeah, that's how pumped I was for this movie.
For Halloween for
Wow.
H2O?
I watched these movies like an idiot when I was a little kid. So like when I was 16, they made a new one. It was the first one I was going to get to see in a theater
Okay.
because I
I
didn't go
was
see the
super
Curse.
cynical at that point. See, this is what that movie read to me like. That was a couple years after Scream. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
because
right
there's
after
Williamson
Scream.
too. I think Williamson wrote
And
it.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh God, they're basically, we're gonna do this now. We're gonna speed run through all the, all the slasher movies of the early '80s with the new Kevin Williamson Scream style of postmodernism. It's
Yeah.
like, ooh, we're gonna have quippy dialogue and teenagers that talk like they're 40 or whatever. And I loved Scream when I saw it in the theater. I thought it was great, enjoyed it, but I was good with that. I didn't need to see that redone a bunch more times. But as we've pointed out, why do one thing? Why do it once when you can do it 50 times?
Yo, hello, it
Might
is me,
change.
and my family asked me why I bought garlic powder, and I said because I like food that tastes good. Lol. Well, you're talking to someone who is oddly obsessed with garlic,
Yeah.
so you're in good company. What's up, Monaco Toaster? Welcome back to the stream. And Bianca is lighting the beacons green and demanding that I stretch. I will do the stretch later. Thank you for lighting it green, but I'm going to continue
We're
with
gonna
this
breeze through
conversation.
this.
Yes.
Resurrection happened. There's the thing. The one thing I liked about H2O was the ending. You thought he chops his head off.
Yes.
But then at the start of Resurrection, you find out he somehow swapped the mask with the Meg. And that's when I'm like, this is going to be a terrible movie. And it is the worst one, probably.
This is the worst one?
This whole page. Resurrection? Probably.
Okay, shit. All right, well, there you go. I was
Okay.
going to ask you which one was the worst on this.
That
So-
I'm still not a fan of the zombie ones either, though.
So this one branches off because it ignores
Yes.
what happens in all three of these movies.
Yes, this one acknowledges
This is
part
like
2.
the Legend of Zelda timeline.
So now here's the thing. We'll go to
so then this one branches off. This is the Jamie Lee, the new one.
David Gordon Green. That's why it's called a Green.
Okay.
Now this one only acknowledges part 1 because we don't
Yes.
think of him as a brother.
Okay.
Which, by the way, side note, I grew up when I used to buy the Halloween movies on VHS with Anchor Bay every year. They put out a new one. Oh, it's a clamshell. Has a deleted scene. I was an idiot and bought it every year.
Yeah.
And I remember one year I saw these deleted scenes, and it was like Loomis like finding out the brother sister thing. So I started telling people, "No, there's deleted scenes. They were always that. They just took it out." No, I found out later that wasn't Carpenter. When they were making part 2, they went back and filmed scenes for TV to kind of already throw the brother sister
Oh.
thing in. To the pad the time, because some stuff was on TV.
So they McClunkied it.
George Lucas did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
McClunkied it.
So I wouldn't told
McClunkied
people.
it. Nice, I like
started
that.
telling people it was always meant to be that way. Anyway, no, I found it. No, I didn't. It was.
McClunky.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault though. They made it seem like those were real deleted scenes. But yeah, so
Fair
now,
How
enough.
wild is it that they put that in there? Like that is just wild. Can you imagine? Like, because
We gotta
they did that shit after Force Awakens. So it's like they're getting ready to put it on, and George Lucas is like, "Yeah, I got another
right
one
before
for
he
us."
sells it.
No, this is way after he sold it, so he's actually
this was
mad
just a
about
few
it.
years
you know?
ago.
Yeah, this was
that's right.
Yeah.
Disney Plus.
It was
This was the
no,
Disney
okay.
Plus launch. Like
I'm thinking we
McClunky.
go back to a little B-roll, and
That's right. I think we talked about that.
Greedo
Those-
says
some of
McClunky.
the
They're like,
videos.
are you joking? He's like, no, I'm real serious. I think that's what needs to happen. Yeah, that was what I always intended. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, George, then we'll do it.
Hey, he got away with it though.
Yeah, it's real simple. The Gordon David Green recent trilogy ones.
Yeah. So I've only seen this one.
Halloween
So
Kills
the
and
first one
Ends.
was supposedly good, right? And the
Yeah.
last two suck balls.
Okay,
Is that
2
what
was
I'm hearing?
it was weird. 1 kind of had this way where it was holding back, trying not to be super gory, but still had some. 2 just starts out with him. You saw it, so you saw the first one. You
I
think
saw
it-
the first
okay,
one. I
so
saw it with
he's-
you. I went to the theater with you.
I didn't
Oh
see
yeah,
it
yeah,
yet.
yeah. Because I saw it. Yeah, that was the second time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the house is on fire. He straight up just murders a dozen firemen. That's the opening scene. Like pickets to the head using their their axes and stuff. So it's way over the top. And the third one is so divisive. That's why I told you last year to pick Halloween Ends as your movie because it's such a wild
Yeah.
movie. It's insane.
But in a good way, or
Most people hate it. I went along for the ride.
okay, fair
It
enough.
is weird.
I'll have to, but then I have to watch. I have to watch
Yeah.
this one. I have to rewatch this because I can't quite remember it.
Yeah.
I remember liking it, but I don't remember anything about
Okay.
it, which probably
But-
says something.
But no, but so the cool thing is, I mean, but Ends actually does end. So that's why it's like, well, I'm glad they actually made an actual ending, which is great. But then you got the zombie ones, which are their own 2 things. I don't even want to get into those movies. I really don't.
I forgot those existed.
I love that a man who probably had to put up with shit his whole life saying heavy metal is evil, it brings out the evil in people, gave Michael a background where he
Where
does
he
nothing
was-
but listen to the heavy metal, then he goes and murders people.
Is that what it is?
It's so
metal,
bad.
Metal makes him
you're
murder.
actually with him the last 2 days before the murder. Unlike the original movie, you've just seen him go upstairs, not say a word, and stab his sister.
Yeah.
He's a whiny little kid
Oh,
for a day or 2.
that sounds annoying.
It is.
And then all the way
Yeah,
down
see,
here at the bottom.
Again, that just goes to show you that Rob Zombie doesn't understand what made the first Halloween work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't need to see what
actually
he did
never
for the
seen any of
previous
his
2
movies.
days. The fact that we don't know what happened the previous 2 days
Yeah.
is what makes it wild, because he doesn't say anything when they
mystery.
pull a mask off. He's
Yeah.
just standing there with the knife. He's like an innocent looking kid, but he's
Oh,
all
yeah.
wide-eyed and weird.
And-
You're just like, dude, that's weird. And then he goes on, doesn't say a word the rest of the movie, and that's what makes it cool. It's like a shark. You don't really. It's a dude, but it's also borderline force of nature. But it's like, no, we got to get in his head. I really want to know. It's like, oh God, it's heavy metal music. Okay.
Yeah. Then
I mean, write about what you know, I guess.
And then the only reason I did the dotted line, because like we showed it, technically sort of it's in the world of the movies, because at least Halloween 1 exists, we see from the bar.
Well, it's not in the
TV.
world of the movie.
No,
it's in our world, ostensibly.
It's in a world where the movies exist.
Yeah.
At least part 1. I'm going to assume part 2. I don't know. But like, so at least that's why I just I did like a dotted line as a fun thing of,
Okay.
it acknowledges that Halloween, at least the first one, is a real movie. But yeah.
Man,
So this is 20 minutes of my day today.
This is more complicated than I thought the Halloween timeline would be.
I
But,
guess like what
it's
I always
pretty
thought,
comprehensive.
It is. It's very impressive. It lays it all out. And what's sad to me is just that it's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
If you
like,
look
does
at
it need to be this complicated when it's about a guy with a knife stabbing people?
Well, it's literally the same variation on a theme, but even that it's essentially four different timelines of the same thing about this character, which is it's not really a compelling character. It's not even a compelling story. It's just that it was successful in the original its original inclination, original version. And it's funny because like it's like the original version is cool because it was like the first film like that. It was like the first film.
Yeah.
It's this fucking psycho killer. It's a force of nature. And then it's over. That's it. And then they go and they make Halloween 2, which I never even saw that one because it's like
I like that it's the same
first...
night sort of thing. That's what I've always kind of liked about that one. It picks up literally right where the first one ends. So, but yeah, it's nowhere near as good. It isn't.
I never saw it, but again, it's kind of going back to the well. He's still out there.
And you think he dies at the end
because
like obviously they wanted him to actually be legit dead.
Yeah,
because that's why they went with the anthology. But the funny thing is, I seen the video resurface recently. It's a few years old, but I don't know why it showed up on TikTok or something. But have you ever seen John Carpenter asked what his favorite sequel is?
No.
He goes. I don't want to be mean, but I just don't care about those movies. But it's I do care and think it's nice when those checks end up on my bank account for the movies.
That's the answer that I would expect him to give.
Yeah,
honestly, that's the answer I would give.
Like he even got asked recently, "What do you like doing, Mark?" I just soundtracks and playing video games and sitting around smoking. That's like what he just.
He goes on tour.
Yeah, I wish I passed up doing that once, and I'm mad. I did that.
I mean, he made The Thing, and honestly, The Thing is a absolutely awesome movie.
Oh, I mean,
and way better than any of the movies in this. You know what I mean?
He's done like from between like the late 70s to like the late 80s, like he's done enough to justify any ill that he's also been a part of. I know we talked shit about Ghost of Mars a long time ago, but like given
supposedly that movie was a miserable experience, and I'm not really sure that was his fault.
Probably
I think
not.
He had a lot of problems with the financiers of the studio.
Then he tried making one last movie.
Even if it was his fault, like I don't care. I'll give him that. Given the fact that he did do Halloween, he did The Fog, which I liked. He did
Fog, They Live, Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, he did.
Mouth of Madness.
Escape from New York.
Yes.
Big Trouble in Little China. Like these are all like
even Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah, Assault on Precinct 13. Like all amazing movies from like that are all classics.
And an Elvis TV movie starring Kurt Russell. I just had to throw that in.
Okay,
did you ever know about that?
No, I was not aware of that.
It was filmed before Halloween came out, but released after Halloween came out. So it was really funny. Like, oh, the guy that made Halloween made an Elvis movie with Kurt Russell. That was the first Kurt Russell movie he did. He made him Elvis. Before The Thing.
Interesting.
Before Escape.
But that must have been like before. That was when Kurt
Escape.
Russell was like
right
a Disney dude.
Yeah. It was 79, I think. Yeah. So
He didn't become like an adult actor until like
2 years before Escape from New York.
You know one of my favorite Kurt Russell movies, other than The Thing,
Overboard.
Is well, that's a good one too. I could say Captain Ron, but I'm not going to.
Captain Ron.
Breakdown. Breakdown is a great movie.
That's a good little thriller.
I watched my sister's house over this weekend, and I'm never going to watch her house ever again. Lol. Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that for your sister. Love Big Trouble in Little China. Movie sucks, but great to look at. I don't think it sucks. I think it's a lot of fun. Big Trouble in Little China.
It's supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I mean
let's look at this. We got one movie here, Halloween, and we got Halloween Season of the Witch. Now these are two movies that are about different things, and the rest of these movies are basically variations on the first Halloween movie. But let's say that each movie cost, I don't know, what do you think they spent on Halloween 2? adjusted for inflation. Let's adjust all this for inflation.
I mean, do you want? I
Really
mean,
made
we're
it
on
for-
the internet. I can look it up.
Yeah, sure.
mean,
Look how much
The
they spent
first
on
two
Halloween
definitely
food.
made money. I
Okay.
know.
I'm gonna.
I mean, the first one wasn't the first
I
one.
imagine they probably all made money.
Well, yeah,
to
I don't
some
know
extent,
about
or they wouldn't have kept
four.
making them.
Yeah, 4 and 5. I don't think Curse did. Obviously, the new ones did because they were Blumhouse movies and they cost $9 million to make, and of course
I
those
would
made
say-
$300 million probably.
Wait,
The
so
last
let's.
one on each timeline didn't make money.
Yeah, you're right. It ends, I think Kills didn't do as good because it played on Peacock the same day, and that was also COVID stuff, and I didn't actually go to the theater for that one.
All right,
Ends, I did go to the theater, but I know it failed though.
which ones do you want on the budget for?
The original two.
Just the second one,
The second one is,
and then adjust it for inflation.
It made 10 times.
It's 2.5 million budget, 25.5 million box office.
so it made 10.
All right, so 2.5 million. Let's adjust that for inflation.
Well.
Let's see here. I'll do it.
I
real
know
quick.
the recent ones are
2.5
Blumhouse, so they're not
million.
much at all.
We're doing some
82,
economist shit over here.
Wow.
What year was this? 82? 80? Wait, this
Wait,
was
81.
81.
81 was part 2.
This was 25. So about 85 million, basically.
Or wait, we were
Oh
looking
God!
up.
Wow.
No, but you were looking. You're looking up how much it made. You're
No,
looking at
no,
the
no.
box office.
Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. 2.5, which is 2,500,000.
So now we know how much it made though too. 80. Yeah.
So-
it's 10 times. Yeah. It was
yeah.
the 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, so $8.5 million budget
And-
and made,
And that's how much the new ones cost. Is from what I've heard from Blumhouse,
Yeah.
they were around 10. So yeah.
around 10. Okay.
So let's say that each of these movies made cost around $10 million. Now let's look at your list again. Let's look at your timeline again.
Oh, jeez. Okay, hold on a second.
I just want to figure out how much we've poured down the Michael Myers rabbit hole since the first Good Idea.
What is going on? How was I doing this before? Here we go.
where's-
This is over here.
Okay, so each one of these we're gonna call $8 million. We'll just say $8 million. So
Okay, each one's $8 million.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
I bet
8, 9,
H2O
10,
Resurrection
11,
costs more.
12.
I'm
So
sure
12
And
these.
the zombie ones too.
Yeah, these probably are a little bit. Let me see. Let me just check on that.
Yeah,
real
we just
quick.
glance. We don't have to do any inflation. We just kind of
Yeah.
see what they were back then.
Which one you said? H2O.
Yeah.
Yeah.
H2O is 17.
So it, like, doubled,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, and then
Still successful.
Resurrection.
So let's just
15.
say $150 million
Yeah.
Which one was the
all
zombie
told.
ones? This one.
adjusted
Yeah.
for inflation. They've poured $150
$150
million down the Michael Myers rabbit hole.
And
I'm sure they've made a return on their
Yes.
investment, obviously, because we
Yeah,
keep
sure.
seeing those.
the original one was, or the original one of the at the time the highest grossing independent movie of all time, which got
Yeah.
passed up
I
by
mean, not
Ninja
counting the
Turtles.
original one.
Yeah.
I'm just saying all the ones they
Okay.
made after the first Good Idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not counting Season of the
Okay.
Witch, which we know didn't make any money. I'm just thinking, what else could have been made?
What else could have been?
that
I
amount
mean,
of money.
a lot of things
Is that
could
a
have
new
been made.
podcast to spin off of how this
I
what
mean-
else could have gotten made?
Arguably a lot worse movies could have been made too. But I mean, I get what you're getting at here. This is what you see on this side. Basically, what you see on this side of the dividing line is a colossal waste of money, and effort, I guess.
And kind of everyone's time.
And everyone's
You know what I'm
time too. There are probably a treasure trove of stories that could have been picked, and we still. I mean, that's the thing that we deal with today. It's a little bit less since one, it's a lot easier to film a project now than it was back in like the early '80s.
There are
it's
hundreds.
a-
There are literal hundreds more options.
Yeah,
of-
and there's a lot
things now.
easier distribution mechanisms now than there were back in the '80s. So it's not quite as bad, but yeah, there's still a lot of projects that should be funded but don't get funding because of shit like this. This is a particularly egregious example of it when you put it all out on writing like this.
Well, that's kind of my point. I mean, and honestly, this I didn't know that Kelly, you made this, but this kind of illustrates exactly like this is kind of what I think is wrong with Hollywood right now. One of the reasons why we came off the summer we just had. I think people are kind of tired of seeing the same fucking thing over and over and over again.
Oh yeah,
You know
for
what I
certain,
mean?
for certain, without a
And
doubt.
you know,
It's just
and
I wish some of the smaller stuff sometimes got more publicity because stuff happens, just isn't pushed by the.
it's
Studio.
true. It's like the idea is like no one makes good movies anymore. It's like no, there's
No,
some
yeah.
pretty crazy movies
telling
getting made that are good. Just
Yeah.
no one gets
The
to see them because it's just lost in a sea of bullshit.
The
you
whole
know?
cinema is dead thing. One of my absolute favorite movie person on YouTube, Patrick H. Williams, just did a video on
Yeah.
that. Who's responsible? And then also, my God,
It's
usually
that's a great
Yeah.
video.
Is I need to watch. I like Patrick H. Williams. I
Yeah.
just never remember to watch his
Oh
shit. I'll
man,
have to
no,
watch
I've been.
it.
I mean, I've been
I
a fan
watch
since
every
his
video he
X-Men
puts out.
thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember he like doing stuff. His X-Men, the Wes Anderson one, which he made a real thing. He made a video about talking shit about AI.
Yeah.
And he's talking about I did the real fucking thing a decade ago. Like, but anyway, so he did that, and then what's funny is my political team, Some More News, who does political shit,
Yeah.
recently did a video about cinema dying. I'm like, it's on everyone's mind, like, or who's responsible, sort of stuff.
I'm curious about. I need to watch those videos then because I'm
Yeah,
very
who's Patrick?
curious
Yeah.
about what
Patrick
what
has
their
fun with it.
diagnosis is. I don't
He lays
necessarily.
it out pretty well.
Yeah.
Scorsese's essentially right. Is his generally
Is his general
thesis, and
vibe.
and he explains why. And you know,
And he says that as someone that watches some of these big movies too, like we all do.
Yeah, I don't
But
think-
we watch everything though. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I still personally don't buy into the whole cinema is dead thing. I think people just. It's just not as. You
It's,
know.
it's just not getting pushed by. I swear, once again, there's good stuff coming out.
watch the video. You'll
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
what I mean.
I'm gonna watch it for sure. But I mean,
Because what he's talking about, you know, granted it could be an age thing too, you know, it's just, but what he's talking about is true, and
Well-
that type of movie that used to fill theaters, and he starts off, his thesis starts off with Rain Man. He's like, what is the highest grossing
that was
movie
the
of
high-
19
Yeah.
of 1988? And he was like, you know what it was? It didn't have any superheroes in it. It didn't have anything. It was about an autistic guy and his asshole brother that drive across country.
yeah.
You know, and no one got. And he talks about. He looks at all the years, and it's like the movies that were, and it wasn't just they got made, you know, and they were somewhere available, but they were the biggest movies in the country. The people actively wanted to see these movies, and he's like, now when you start to see it somewhere in the early 2000s, it starts to become the biggest movies and become these like really fun but totally brain dead blockbusters, and it gets worse and worse and worse until we get here, which is just like,
See, but I don't
You know
know.
what I mean?
I still don't think like. There's a reason, and I need to watch this video because, like, I have a feeling that I have a lot of strong counter opinions on this. But even this past summer, we recognized the fact that there are movies that don't, you know, you say kind of, you know, brain dead movies, but the movies that popped off this summer were anything but brain dead. Like you
Well,
had
this summer, I think actually represents a bit of an aberration. You know what I mean? Where you got Oppenheimer making that kind of move, that kind of money, but you know, it's also a Christopher Nolan film, and he carves out a special caveat for that, and then lays out a bunch of earlier things, the reason why something like that could happen. But I mean, it's about the breadth of the movies that are packing theaters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you know he breaks it down, and it's pretty irrefutable.
It's
I mean,
but
you might-
it's the
you can
same.
be like, oh well, there are good movies out there. They're just, you know, they're not as popular
Well, what
as
it-
these movies.
What it is it's the same kind of mentality that has afflicted, and I think it probably started in the game industry. It's the same mentality that inflicts a lot of publishers, game publishers, where it's like, we need to maximize our profits on all of our investments. So the best way to do that is with blockbuster IP. We're going to put
and that's he talks about that.
untold billions into our biggest IP so that, you know, a success is a massive success, but then failure means you know selling the company to the second biggest
Look at the idiot
person up the chain.
The idiot news we heard the minute after Barbie was successful. Mattel is taking the wrong note of.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
don't you focus on women? Like, no, we're gonna make 25 more movies based on toys now.
Yeah,
just-
they've got
or
all
just-
sorts of
I
fucking
that was
toy
a-
movies
I thought it
coming
was
out.
a joke when I heard that. I thought it was just like, this can't be real.
Oh no,
I
no.
actually think it's not even about like, you know, make more movies about women. I actually think it's empower filmmakers with
Yeah.
that are good.
Yeah, it's
who have
just
something
make
to say.
make
You know,
creative
you know,
movies that have a voice, that have a vision. Like,
You know, I mean,
because it isn't
Uh,
just Barbie and Oppenheimer. Like, you could do that. Like, Across the Spider-Verse also showed that you can have a voice and a vision in a superhero movie too. Superhero movies have been flopping lately.
Yeah,
respectful to what.
They go away completely for a while.
Well, yeah, sure. I'm sure you would, but I mean, I'm just saying that they've been flopping with respects to the kind of money that they would normally make, but you still have examples of a movie here or there that don't flop, and it's like, does superhero fatigue not factor into those movies? Well, no, but it's not necessarily because people are tired of seeing superhero movies or whatnot. It's just that it had an interesting vision. It had an interesting appeal, and people responded to it. Like, you could still make any kind of movie you want to make if it has an interesting vision and voice. Doesn't necessarily matter if it's a superhero movie or a Western or this or that. Like, have a vision. Have a strong vision and sell that vision to people, and people will respond to it.
I mean, yeah, I would generally agree. But then there's things like The Creator, which I thought was pretty good, and no one really went to see that movie. You know what I mean?
feel bad I didn't pay for it. I saw it at the festival because I probably would have paid
Oh,
for
really?
it. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it was really cool.
I didn't see it.
Now, speaking of
I
budget,
didn't see The Creator.
Speaking of
Oh,
budget,
you should have seen it, Devin.
No, Devin.
Like, you should go see it if you can still see it in the theater. You would like it.
go.
I'm
watch
sure,
it.
probably.
Go watch it.
It was a
and
little
think,
oversold
Yeah, go watch it and then
by some of
realize
the critics.
the budget is half of like Indiana Jones. It
Okay.
looks
Not
like it
even
costs
half,
double.
dude.
Yeah,
A third of Indiana
yeah.
Jones.
It was. It looks.
Which is why
Incredible.
I always get my mind is always bent about blockbuster budgets, is because like it's with all the tools available, it should be a lot easier to make like really incredible looking movies at a fraction of the cost of like big blockbuster expenses, and I never understand why that isn't the case.
There's a lot of reasons. They talk, and in some of the making of The Creator, you get an idea for what some of those reasons are. I think one of the reasons that movie looks so good is because they went with a much smaller, cheaper camera package, which gave them a lot of flexibility, and they didn't need as big a crew, and he could run the camera himself. And so they took small crews and they just went to these places.
Yeah.
And they shot it like in Indonesia. We went there and we went around looking for cool stuff and like, boom, let's shoot it. They could, because they were lighter, it was more run and gun, and then they put the CGI on and stuff, but it wasn't like they're in front of a green screen and they have to completely create every single thing you see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then iterate on that. They're basically shooting it like you would shoot a movie in the 70s or the 80s, and for the most part, it makes a huge difference. Like, it looks so much better, what I mean, than a lot of movies that cost 5 times as much, because they're actually, shooting things that are interesting visually to shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's starting with, it's like in recording, it's like people are like, oh man, how do you get that sound? It's like, well, it sounded good, and we put some mics up, and that's what we did. You know what I mean? It's like that's how good sounds generally are. If you shoot something interesting, it's gonna generally look interesting, whether you use CGI on it or not. You know what I mean? What happens is a lot of these movies, it's like they just shoot their guy in front of a green screen. It's like, okay, we're gonna paint the whole thing in, and it ends up looking fake and has no stakes. I mean, that's a whole long discussion, but I think that movie was cool, and more people should have gone to see it.
Yeah, I think with it's sci-fi is an interesting thing. Sometimes it could pop off and sometimes it doesn't. I think there's no real solid middle ground for like sci-fi in theaters, at least.
Did you ever see the comic Descender by my guy Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen? It was kind of like
I feel like I have.
I'm not saying anything ripped, but the kid looks just like it because he's like he's an android kid with. I
remember the trailer.
Yeah, and like he's got like you see the stuff on the side. They look like this. They don't have backs in the heads. It looks kind of like that. I thought that was very funny. They went with it because it looked just like Dustin Nguyen's art.
All right, let me catch up a little bit on this chat. Imagine, if you will, Toaster is still talking about the house he was house sitting for. That must have been a traumatic experience for you, man. Imagine, if you will, a litter box. It is next to a cat's food bowl. That's the first thing you see in the house. Well, I mean, my cat's food bowl's there, and their litter box is right over there. So it's not next to it, but relatively close proximity, if that means anything. Lots of fun, but story is bad. Talking about Big Trouble in Little China. Been having watch parties for horror all October. I hate horror. That sounds like an awful. That sounds like an awful watch party experience.
I like to punch myself in the face for several hours every evening.
Yeah.
Can I recommend the new one, When Evil Works? No, don't watch that then.
Did everyone stretch yet? Oh, you want us all to stretch?
I'll get out.
All right. Well, just do a quick stretch. Stretch your arms. She spent the channel points. Stretch it. Stretch your arms. All right. We got some stretches going. There you go. I'm not white knuckling a game controller right now, so I don't need to stretch my fingers the way I usually would, but everybody did the stretch. You got a bargain. Usually it's just one person stretching, but you got three for the price of one.
Three for the price of one.
You don't want eating next to pooping. Yeah, fair point. Good movies, but I hate it. And Poxborn wants me to hydrate, but I can't because I don't have my water. I've been chugging this Coke Zero, so that's all the hydration that I can get there. Yeah, everyone doing the channel points, even walk and talks. There will not be a walk and talk tonight, so don't try it. I veto the walk and talk. All right, continuing. Anyways, so we kind of went off on a tangent about the film industry in general, and we should definitely have a broader discussion over all of that later. Justin, is your camera frozen?
No, the scene from Season of the Witch where the kid is in the test room and his head turns into a bunch of goo and stuff.
Why did that happen? Why did it make their heads turn into bugs and shit?
It's just the magic.
It's just the magic of the spell.
What they were trying to do.
And shit, dude.
That's why
what I don't understand, I guess the mom, she fainted.
Yeah, and you got to assume some of the bugs are going to get her like they appear to get the dad.
Oh, the dad gets bit by a rattlesnake.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's going to happen to her too. That's what I think they're hoping happens to all the parents. I assumed.
So just snakes are going to attack the people that weren't wearing masks. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless the snakes are kind of magical snakes and are really ill-tempered, I imagine a lot of snakes are going to get their heads cut off.
Yeah. Well, those snakes did seem to be kind of ill-tempered.
They're going to be really pissed and just grab a shovel and be like, "You're done."
Yeah.
Now, who the hell sold my kid this mask?
Yeah, exactly. Again, my question is, what happens on November 1st after this Warlock's plan? Kills a lot of kids, but not everyone.
I imagine everyone who works anywhere near that factory is going to be torn limb from limb.
Yeah, no joke.
There's going to be a lot of mad parents. The question I've had is it nationwide or is it just in their
I got the sense that it was
area.
The funny thing is I got the sense that it was nationwide because there was a period of time when he was starting to realize that something nefarious was going on. His first go-to was call the Marines. And I was like, call the Marines? Why are we getting the fucking Marines involved in this?
I assume that it's somewhere in Northern California. We know that one woman came from San Francisco, she said.
Yeah.
So we know
it's definitely Northern California.
Yeah.
Irish town.
It may have been local because he was trying to get it taken. He was trying to get the ad taken off of TV. And he
called one station.
Yeah, well, he was
call 3 different stations.
But the other stations were taking him off too, so I don't know how that happened. Yeah. There was one station that slipped through the cracks, but
that's when he's screaming.
Yeah, at the very end when he's going crazy. But he at least talked to one guy that was able to take the ad off of 2 stations. So which
that's the most far-fetched thing in the whole movie.
Oh yeah, first
some whack job calls and says, turn it off, it's gonna be bad. And they're like, yeah, okay, dude, these guys paid us.
Seriously. Yo, what's up, Haunted Wisp? Welcome back to the stream.
I'm trying to think of anything else that's funny. I was randomly thinking we were talking about the lady who from San Francisco. When everyone enters the hotel area, it's like they're almost gonna have some comedy of the weirdo the ragtag group of everyone that's different at the hotel.
Yeah.
And then it just goes where one lady gets her face melted off. The other one goes, they're the test subjects that get killed at the place. So it doesn't turn out to be such the quite of a comedy. Unless you seeing kids' faces melt.
I mean, there are, I guess, worse things than...
And then you got the Irish locals, the super Irish locals.
The super Irish locals. Yeah. Why was it so Irish? Maybe it wasn't...
Just because
okay, it says right here.
Brought them over.
In Northern California. Okay. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's where it was set, but I don't know if the ads were, targeting. Oh, we got the lights turned green here. Oh, Haunted Taco is going nuts on the lights, trying to get green, red, green,
are your
red.
viewers doing that?
Yeah, my viewers can control my lights.
Oh wow.
Yeah. What's up, Haunted Taco? Welcome back to the stream. Yeah, I don't know if it affected everything worldwide. I'm just assuming maybe Northern California was the primary target.
He just wanted his kids saved. I don't know. Of course, his wife wasn't going to listen. Just like he could get the channels to stop it.
Yeah,
but the ex-wife.
But the ex-wife,
she's not doing
that
it.
old bitch of an ex-wife.
His kids were toast.
Yeah. It had a classic like 70s, like the kind of way that 70s sci-fi was really disturbing.
Totally.
You know, it had that kind of ending where it's like
Invasions of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
So many
What the movie has, I guess it's a good vibes movie. It has those vibes of like the late 70s, early 80s, the kind of vibes that Stranger Things in its first season was really trying to tap into. This movie is like loaded with both barrels in that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons I like it as more than all the other Halloween films is just because they never made a sequel. It's just it exists
as its own thing.
As its own thing. It's
Which
never
is
going to be.
That's the beauty of the anthology series.
Yes.
We don't ever have to know what the fuck happened to Dr. Chalice after this.
I don't want to know how Dr. Chalice got his medical degree. I don't want to know,
You don't want to know what his midichlorian count is?
You only want to see him if we can get Oscar Isaac to come back and visit him in the hospital.
I am so tired. It's just like, as a culture, we've become so fucking bankrupt to any, like, we every single question mark and every single piece of media anyone's ever consumed has to be filled in to an almost comical degree. You know what I mean? And it's just like, God damn it. You know, there can be some mysteries, some shit you just doesn't really matter. It's not even the point.
Well, it's because we have to fill every single waking hour of our day with content. You know, like everything, like and all of that content has a dollar sign attached to it. So what else are you going to do but mine every single piece of IP you have for everything that it's possibly worth? Like, that's the weird thing about, like, you know, when you know, Disney Plus popped. Like, that's when all of a sudden we have all of these Marvel TV shows. We have all these Star Wars TV shows. It's like, okay, some of these are okay, but do we really need a show about, like, you know, the Skeleton Crew or whatever that's going to be?
Did you think you needed more from the guy from Rogue One, though?
Well, you see, that's the other part of it.
If it's made well,
if
we'll
it's made
watch
well,
it.
yes,
Yes, exactly.
But like, what's the number? It's what's the numbers game on that? Like, we had 2 seasons of The Mandalorian that I think were good. And then the third one, which was a tragedy. And then we had a Book of Boba Fett that was weird. I'll just leave it at that. And we had
some people really hate on Book of Boba Fett, but I posit that Book of Boba Fett is superior to Mandalorian season 3.
Oh, it is.
I was particularly
yeah.
let down by Mandalorian season 3.
I'm not here to argue against that point at all. Yeah, it's better than Mandalorian season 3.
I'll give you this. I thought Andor was fantastic, but you could have made that move. You could have made that show. It didn't have to be set in Star Wars. You know what I mean?
That's very true.
A cool sci-fi show in any kind of space thing, and that's my point. Like, here's the thing, and no, I'm one of the biggest Star Wars fans there. You know, I'm not gonna say there ever was, because there's some people that are just insane for that shit. But I'm pretty insane for that shit, and I'm to the point now where I'm kind of like, maybe we just let it go. Maybe we just let Star Wars go. You know, I watched Ahsoka, but it's just, when it ended, I was kind of like,
I think I let Star Wars go a while ago, and I think I let Marvel go a while ago too. Like, I'm just out on franchises for the most part at this point.
I was just thinking about Boba Fett, and I'm obviously a big fan of Boba Fett. My daughter made this for me when
Oh, nice! Is that a tile?
She was 3. It is a tile. It's a coaster. She went for my birthday when she was 3 years old. My wife took her to one of those places where you can do like your own ceramics, and she knew I liked Boba Fett, and she knew, so she chose this and chose the colors, and she made it when she was 3.
Oh, nice.
And I keep it right here where I put my drinks on it. Anyway, I was Boba Fett for Halloween. Bring it full circle. You know, in like 1980. Let's see,
We
Empire in 80s. No, it would have been 82.
I have that
81.
Star Wars retrospective video on the YouTube channel where I have that picture of you.
You can
as,
see me as Boba Fett for Halloween.
Yeah.
Boba Fett was one of my favorite characters in all of the world.
First sticker
You know?
I put on my first car was a Boba Fett sticker. Like, back
But
when I was, like,
man,
17.
They just ruined Boba Fett. Like, I mean, and honestly, when I say they, I mainly mean George Lucas. Because the thing about Boba Fett that was so awesome was that you didn't know what he was. Was he a man? Was he a robot? I don't know. You know, he had a cool cape. He sounded like Clint Eastwood. He was basically the man with no name. He was Clint Eastwood in space.
Yeah.
You know, if you watch the original Empire before they went back and had the Aussie guy redub the lines, he's basically doing like a comical Eastwood, you know, he's no good to me, dead. You know what I mean? That's, you know, and you're just like, but his voice sounds like this. He's, you know, and you're like, cool, he's like a bounty hunter. How fucking awesome is that character? You know, and then it's like you get to see him as a kid in the prequels, and it's like, oh, he's a clone of another guy named Django who doesn't play guitar. What now? And then it's like, oh, but he's an unaltered clone. And you're like, okay, this is really starting to get, you know.
It got a little messy.
And then they keep going back to the well. Pretty soon, you know, he's in the cartoons. He's doing a bunch of stuff. And then they're making the Book of Boba Fett, and he's coming out of the Sarlacc pit, and he decides he wants to be a crime lord, but he doesn't really do dick for most of the episode, most of the show. And by the end of that show, you're just like, okay, whoever this guy is 100 fucking miles from what Boba Fett was in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And it's like, what did we get out of all that? You know what I mean? It's like, it was better before we filled in all the blanks. Because, you know, and it's crazy too, because there are some people in Hollywood with fucking great ideas. They're out there, you know, but most of them, their ideas suck. Matthew Vaughn, for instance, they ask him, like, would you ever want to do a Star Wars movie? He's like, yeah, I would. But what I'd like to do is retell the Skywalker saga. I mean, just reboot that. It's like, fuck you. You know what I mean? You can't think of any. It's an entire universe of fucking. You know, it's like one of the things that was so great about Star Wars in the original movie, when you saw it, you know, in 1980, or, you know, when I first saw it, when they go to the cantina and you see all those characters, you had seen nothing like that before. It was like all of a sudden they all looked real. The whole thing looked real, and it was like the sky was the limit. The possibilities were endless. Look at all these fucking guys, you know? And it's just like they've managed to tell all these stories about the same like 15 fucking people in a galaxy
that's full of like
infinitesimally
It's
big.
like,
You know what I mean?
Isn't what's his name's movie supposed to go way back? If they actually got to make it, isn't Mangold's?
Oh, James Mangold, yeah.
Isn't it supposed to go way in now? But now they go, oh, his movie failed. Hopefully they don't take his away.
I mean, you know, I imagine that based on what they've done in the past.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Oh, yeah.
Which again, I watched Indiana Jones. I saw it in the theater.
I did
It was
too.
fine.
It was all right.
It was better. It was better than Kingdom of Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if I'm just taking it by merit, it was probably better than Temple of Doom. Although I didn't like it as much as Temple of Doom. You know what I mean? Temple of Doom.
Sure.
You know, it's not great, but it's got young Harrison Ford in it, and it's from 1982, and it's hard to shake a stick at that.
It's got that kid who's having a moment right now.
Yeah, it's got Short Round, who was awesome. They should have totally brought him back, but you know, before now. But you know, the new movie is, it might be better than Temple of Doom. You know, from just a raw movie standpoint, if you disconnect everything.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
But they spent way too much money on it.
Yeah.
And what were they thinking making that movie for that kind of money? Like, what? There's a YouTube video. And
they thought the IP was worth it.
Man, when you look at it, when you detach yourself from it and you look at the raw facts about Indiana Jones, it just seems utterly asinine that they would spend that kind of money on that movie. Like, because I saw a YouTube video and he basically was talking about that. He was like, what the fuck were they thinking making this movie? You know, he was like, Indiana Jones as a character is appealing to a very specific age demo.
Yeah.
He's like, if you're under the age of like 35, you probably aren't that into Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
You know
exactly. And
he's like, global box office is bigger than it ever is. But the thing is Indiana Jones mainly appeals to Americans, or only appeals that, and maybe the Japanese like Indiana Jones, but Americans and some Europeans and Japanese, but not China and India. Those people don't give a fuck about Indiana Jones.
And Americans between the age of like 25. Maybe 25 is young. Maybe dude. 35.
35 to about my
like
dad's
50.
age. You know what I mean? Not 35 to 70. Because my dad, he saw it when he was in his late 20s when Indiana Jones came out and thought it was great. You know what I mean? And he's over 70 now. But my point, this guy's point is that those guys don't see that many movies. Old people aren't. You know what I mean? Your older demographics aren't what putting the butts in the seats. And you've got no international box office. So you've got a small subset of the movie-going public, and you're going to spend the most anyone's ever spent on a movie. I don't know, man. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it's bad planning. It's a bad strategy.
Real fast, people resurfaced this Spielberg prediction and quote from a decade ago. There's a big danger, and there's eventually going to be an implosion, a big meltdown. There's going to be an implosion where 3 or 4 or maybe even half a dozen mega budget movies are going to go crashing into the ground, and that's how we're going to have to change. This is him a decade ago.
But doesn't Willems quote that in his video?
I think he does. Yeah, that's what. But I saw someone else mention it recently too. Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, yeah, I've heard it before, but he did bring it back to me too. Yeah, I just Googled it and found it because it has been. That was someone else talking about it this summer. Some other website brought it up.
Yeah, and then what happens is all of these failures means that those production studios get put into a situation where they have to get bought up by a larger production studio in order to survive. And then they perpetuate the cycle of relying on blockbusters.
Semi-related to our thing, have you heard about the Halloween rights being sold for a TV show now? We're talking about never letting things die.
No, they're making a TV show?
They're trying to sell it for a show. I guess I should have thought of that since we're going on and on about how they're never going to let Michael die.
Well, I just think it's one of those things. It's like, I think people in the business side of this don't see it the way we do. I mean, we've got zero skin in this game as far as financially. You know what I mean? They see it as like assets, like they're playing Monopoly. You know what I mean? It's like, if I can sell the rights to Michael Myers to Shudder Network and have them make a movie. Hell, we'll bring back Danielle Harris. We can get her cheap. You know what I mean? We'll make a series.
I wish they could have got Paul Rudd back for Kills, but we got Michael Anthony Hall instead. It was fine, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like,
I guess Miramax lands Halloween TV rights in broad agreement with Trancas plots cinematic universe.
Yeah, the worst thing to hear.
Jesus Christ!
I mean, this is your cinematic universe right here.
I gotta keep
the
beginning.
I gotta keep it.
That's the thing. You and I, we all see this and we think how depressing. There's some dude who drives a fucking Bentley who lives in like the Hollywood Hills who looks at this and thinks,
"Oh fuck
brilliant.
Yeah,
this is great.
This is amazing work here."
Think about all the stories we can tell,
Well,
like,
I mean, but no, to that point,
Michael, what color hair did he have beneath the mask for real as an adult? We never really saw it. We can find out what color hair. Does he like hamburgers? I mean, he's got to eat sometime.
I don't think they think that deeply into it, because if you go back to those Wikipedia pages that we were looking at, the budget, the box office, a lot of these movies were profitable. A lot of these movies were box office successes. So yeah, and if you think about it strictly from a business point of view and 0% from a creativity point of view or an artistic point of view, that it makes the most sense in the world to take all of these movies that were box office success and try to make some kind of a cinematic universe out of it. Like, it's a natural conclusion from a business standpoint.
And you know that they will hit the creative skids pretty quick, and before we know it, it'll be 3 more days to Halloween. They'll actually rob the Season of the Witch Cradle and incorporate it into their cinematic universe.
I'm kind of surprised that hasn't happened already.
A cinematic universe with just Michael Myers seems like it's like
not a lot going on.
They're gonna plan like the Dark Universe photo with all the future actors. It's never gonna happen.
Oh, that would be
God, that was embarrassing.
That would be great if they brought the Dark Universe back.
Jesus, why not
let's see.
Point? You know,
I only had 2 other random notes to gone off on weird things. Side note.
Let me do this real quick.
Okay.
Doing all right, getting RDR to work on PC. I don't know what RDR means. Did everyone do a posture check? No, but we're about to end this here in a little bit. So we'll posture check on that tomorrow. Not everyone, stuff to do tomorrow. Okay, well, thank you for stopping by, Bianca. Appreciate you coming in. Have a good rest of your night.
You got to hear us yell at clouds for.
Yeah.
Old man yell at clouds. Well, you know, I think she's probably used to that because Bianca was a regular in Max's movie channel, so she's used to hearing old men yelling at clouds.
Does he
about
do a lot of
movies.
yelling at clouds?
Oh yeah.
Dude, he was all in on that Snyderverse thing. I only saw like one of his streams. He was balls deep in that, dude. And I was just like,
yeah, that was a problem.
I'm out, bro.
I need to come here one time without Snyder being brought up.
Hey, I didn't do it.
I know, I'm just joking around. I'm just
just
joking
how
around.
it happened.
I'm just messing around. It just always happens.
Oh, Red Dead Redemption. Okay, yeah. Good luck with that.
Are you speaking of video games? Are you into Baldur's Gate, or are you? Did you load your saves?
No, I need to do that. You mentioned to me that I should be able to take your save or the save I have on your PS5.
Yes.
I need to look into
so.
how to do that because I definitely want to continue where I left off. Like my guy is like a paragon of virtue in that game. Like he is like
Mine is too.
arbiter of justice, and I like it. But I haven't. I've been obsessed with other titles on my PC at the time, so it'll be a while before I actually jump.
Have you
over
played
on that.
Phantom Liberty yet?
A little bit, but I got sidetracked because like I was deep into Starfield, and that came out, and then Phantom Liberty came out, and then something else came out that I can't quite remember. And now I'm deep into a game called Vampire Survivors. So it's just been ricocheting between a bunch of titles. Eventually, I will get back to both Phantom Liberty and Baldur's Gate 3. But
yeah, I'm ending Act 2 right now. I'm gonna finish Baldur's Gate 3, and then I'm gonna play Cyberpunk. I think now after they've fixed everything, and supposedly it's fantastic. Now it's the time to play it.
Yeah, like 3 years after the fact.
Yeah, because I've heard Phantom Liberty is super awesome. It'll be kind of like when I played Witcher 3 and Blood and Wine was already there, so I finish it and just go right into that.
Yeah.
I think Phantom Liberty supposedly is better than the actual game.
I mean, honestly, in my opinion, that probably isn't a very tough bar to clear. But I guess it just depends on if you like playing a shit ton of side quests or not. The side quest in true CD Projekt,
like Witcher 3 style,
yeah,
or if they're crappy like Bethesda style.
I mean, I like some Bethesda side quests.
I don't play Bethesda side quests. I'm just like, yeah, sorry guys, not doing it.
I mean, that's pretty much
over there and talk to so and so.
That's all I've been doing in Starfield. I haven't done much of the main storyline, but that's a discussion for another time, though. For now, did we ever finish up the point that we were making?
What was the point?
I don't know. We're starting to get sidetracked a lot. So,
but anyway, we went through the whole plot, and I will. What's up?
Oh, yeah, you finish.
One last note I did kind of have on my thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm just have to. We'll praise the original master. Underrated score from him.
Oh yeah, for certain.
And also,
totally.
I love the moment when Cochran is doing his big monologue about saying how he's going to do everything in the room in front of Stonehenge. He says the words "Happy Halloween," and one of the Halloween scores from the original one kind of play that.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's like they did kind of throw that. They throw a few seconds of the original. And it's funny because it's Carpenter doing the score as well. He did the score for the first 3, even though he didn't direct 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. But yeah, so yeah, it's kind of cool he threw that in. That's my last random note.
Here's the thing, like I'm sure you saw the Patrick Willem video about Vibes movies.
Is it a Vibes movie? Yeah. I heard you say that earlier, and you made me think about it when you said that. To be honest.
Wait, Vibes movies. I don't know. I need to catch up on that guy's videos for sure.
I started watching his videos when he had the video about "Shut Up About Plot Holes."
Yeah, and he got so much shit. I love that. He's always like, "You're watching movies wrong." Yeah.
Yeah, I was so sick of hearing dudes on YouTube and on things talk about plot holes, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
He gets yelled at so much about that one from me. He's like, "I don't care, I'm right." I'm like, "Yeah, just keep doing your thing." It's great.
Well, plus, like, he went to film school and I went to film school, and when I watch his videos, he goes hard sometimes into the like film school style, like quoting all these books and shit. And it just reminds me of being in film school, so it's kind of like I get
you get back to your college days a bit.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like I'm in a lecture, you know what I mean? Like watching his videos about Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh,
excellent.
he drank all the wine. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so good. Where he talks about his imperial period. I think it's a 2-parter. His stuff about Michael Bay, excellent.
Yeah, and then he even was it his Patreon that got him to do a Snyder video? I think it's like
I didn't watch it.
He raised enough money. He's like, I have to do this now. So he did like.
You're the one that brought it up this time. Now you just brought it up.
Yeah,
so there you go.
They'll hear us.
Yes, they will.
To me, like Halloween 3: Season of the Witch is like the ultimate vibes movie for me. For a couple of reasons. A lot of my nostalgia about Halloween has to do with the early 80s because I was a little kid during the early 80s, and that's when I went trick-or-treating and when it was really magical and awesome. You know what I mean? And so it's like this movie and then this movie seemed to always be on around Halloween through the 90s. Like I remember one time, like on Halloween, I had to go do something with my mom. We didn't get to go trick-or-treating, but we went to a play or something. And then after that, we went to Applebee's, and it was just kind of late. And it was like us, just my mom and I don't know where my brother was. We were just kind of sitting at the bar at Applebee's, and Halloween 3 was playing on the bar TV. And I was like, yeah. This just has this like I'm
you
feeling
didn't
the
yell
vibes,
at the bartender to change the channel. You just like,
yeah. Then I got home later that night and I was going to bed and it was on TV again because they were just literally playing Season of the Witch over and over and over again because I think it was probably cheaper to play that one than any of the ones with Michael Myers. On
that makes sense.
Or whatever.
That needs to be Halloween's version of A Christmas Story.
It kind of is for me. It is for me. It's just the ultimate Halloween vibes movie. I can put it on at any point because it goes more into Halloween. It's got trick-or-treating. It's got Samhain and fucking Stonehenge and the Warlocks and all the bullshit. It's got the 80s, the early 80s vibe. It's got the 80s music. It's got robots. I mean, it kind of has
robots. We never really talked about the robot aspect of the movie, but yeah, it's packed full of fucking robots.
Like, you just don't even see the robots coming. You're like, okay, it's a horror movie. And then it's like, oh, there's fucking robots. We're doing robots.
Who sacrifice themselves.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I did not realize that robots were going to play so heavily into this or into it at all. But that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Because it's kind of sci-fi. It's kind of... I mean,
it's very sci-fi.
Lasers and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the woman was messing around with the mask, and then like laser beams hit her in the face, and I was like, "Oh shit! What the hell? What is going on here?"
It's kind of like you took like about 6 B movies from the late 70s and just kind of put them into one movie.
Yeah.
It's like witches, aliens, robots, lasers. And a hard-boiled
detective doctor. Yeah. Yeah. It has all of the things that you would want to see.
It's got everything.
Yes, which is actually what you said in the TikTok video that'll be released tomorrow. Yeah. So that will be day 31's video on my 31 horror movie reviews, one a day. Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, which I'm gonna say I recommend watching this movie. It is a lot of fun.
I clearly hate it.
Yeah, you clearly you're so distraught with this movie that you took the time to create this elaborate Halloween timeline.
1 more hour till Halloween. 1.5 hours.
1.5 more hours. 1.5 more hours.
Halloween.
There's a good making of, I think, on YouTube somewhere.
One thing that it really struck me like as this is definitely a John Carpenter thing. Like when they first reveal to you what the masks do, and it has like the family in that room or whatever, and they play the song and it's like do dee do dee do dee do dee, but then as things start to ratchet up, like so does that. It's like do dee do dee do dee do dee do dee. I'm like, oh, this is getting fucking tense. And it was like do dee do dee do dee do dee, and like bugs are flying and lasers, and like a snake bites a man. It's like do dee do dee do dee do dee do dee. And I was like, holy shit! Like, all right, I understand. Like, so, like, it was a really cool, like, sound design, I guess, from John Carpenter in that part too, because like it ratcheted the fucking tension of that scene up in a way that like I wasn't really expecting. I was sitting there trying to make my chili, and I'm like, oh, I'm starting to like get really, really involved in this. You know, that song's
Yeah,
annoying, but that part was cool.
that moment is legitimately disturbing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like as ridiculous as the movie can be, and borderline humorous, and you know, in both intentional and unintentional ways, that there are legitimate moments of tension and you know, and revulsion. I remember seeing that for the first time, and hilariously, I don't even think I saw that part until like high school. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, I'd never seen the movie all the way through. I just seen different chunks and knew the theme song, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's what the masks do!" You know what I mean? And I was like, "That's a bummer." You know, that movie, it gets like kind of serious for a second. You know?
Yeah.
But then it immediately goes back, and it's, you know, well, Bond, I expect you to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, I don't have anything else to say about this one then, so we could probably wrap this now. Do you have anything else to add?
Nope. I'm just waiting for Halloween 3 Part 2 with
Halloween
Rice.
3
Halloween 3 Part 2.
Halloween 3
It'll be
Part
like
2.
it'll be like an outline. You know what I mean? It's like 3A. I have a shout out to make to anyone who's still listening.
Yeah.
Right now on YouTube, there is a making of Unsolved Mysteries retrospective.
Oh, really?
Interview
Wait, hold
all
on.
the people. It's like 30 or 40 minutes long.
What's
I
it
just
called?
watched it today. It's fucking great. I'll tell you. Hold on, let me pull up my
Unsolved Mysteries retrospective?
Yeah, it's made by it's like celebrating the history of Unsolved Mysteries, because I think it's on.
Is it called Behind the Legacy?
Yes. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Okay, I see it
Behind the
here.
Legacy.
10 days ago. Pretty good.
Yeah, Unsolved Mysteries Behind the Legacy. Nice.
It's great. It's got some fun behind the scenes stories and a lot of like cool details, and they talk about what made the show cool and what made it eerie, and
Do they ever do any updates on mysteries that weren't solved back then?
They don't. They talk about ones they did solve. They talk about some that weren't, that are still unsolved, but that are really popular. And they talk about, like, there's a really famous one where a girl phones her boyfriend from a payphone, and she's like telling him there's this dude like driving around the parking lot or on the payphone, and she's like, and literally she gets abducted by this guy. This is a true story. She gets abducted by this guy while she's on the phone with her boyfriend, and so he flips the fuck out. This is before cell phones. Runs, gets in his car, heads down to the thing, and basically, as he's going to the rest stop where she is, he sees the truck that abducted her go by him. And he hears her screaming. He sees her out the window, and she's being abducted. She screams at him, and he throws it in reverse, turns around, and takes off after him. But in doing so, he fucks his car up, and he can't. When he threw it in reverse, it fucked his transmission up because he was panicking, And he literally, his car can't chase him, and the guy just takes off, and he never sees his girlfriend ever again. And they never solved it. Like, they never find the girl. She's still missing.
Oh, Jesus, that's fucking horrible.
They never found the guy. And they say it's one of the most famous mysteries they ever did.
What kind of car was it?
It was a truck with a bass fishing decal in the back window.
No, the car that the boyfriend was driving.
I can't remember.
It's a bad advertisement for that car.
Well, I think he fucked it up. Like,
yeah,
it was like it was an automatic transmission, and he, they blew by him so fast. He was like, "Fuck!" He just put it in reverse, maybe, and that bottomed out his transmission. I mean, now they got ways that that actually doesn't happen, but it's terrible. It's a terrible story.
Damn.
But there's several things like that, like just like, and of course I've seen every one of them at least like 5 times. So for me, it was super hilarious. It was super cool because I was like, I remember that episode. They talk about the Rainbow episode. They say that because the Rainbow episode is about this kid who was possessed by the devil, who supposedly could make it rain, and he made it rain like in a jail cell and all this kind of shit. He'd make water drip from the ceiling, and they it was a unexplained thing, and they were actually interviewing the real guy. Well, they said while they were shooting that episode, on the first day they were going to shoot, they all woke up, and on the floor, they were all staying at the same floor at the hotel, there was 1.5 inches of water in everyone's hotel room and all throughout the hallway on that entire floor of the hotel. And they went to the hotel, they're like, dude, our entire floor is flooded. And they're like, we don't know why. They couldn't figure out why. There's no reason for it. We can't find, and they were like, I mean, probably a sewer main went somewhere they just didn't know or whatever. But that, it's crazy.
Or it was
anecdotes
the
like
Rain
that.
Boy.
They, who knows? But there's a lot of stories. They talk about how that church that blows up. I heard this story before, but the church that blows up in season 1, and they actually use it in the intro of the show. It's a huge explosion. They actually blew that church up, and it was in a neighborhood when they were shooting it, and they told the special effects guy, they brought a special effects guy in who was like a local guy, and they were like, hey, listen, blow it up, but keep it cool. We don't want to blow out, we don't want to rattle any windows in the neighborhood. He was like,
It's a pretty massive explosion.
Dude, supposedly he way overpacked it with dynamite. They're like, dude, that fucking place was vaporized. Supposedly it blew out every window for 5 blocks in every direction.
Oh my
and
God.
almost killed everyone that was there because of all the shards of wood and stuff. But it vaporized that house. But it looks amazing. Like when you watch that, if you go back and watch it knowing that, and you're just like, holy shit.
Wait, so did that guy get fired? And was that production sued?
I'm sure they probably paid for all the windows, and they probably weren't sued. No one died, so.
Okay.
And it was the 80s,
Get fast and loose with your dynamite in the 80s.
There was no Twitter, you know what I mean? You couldn't find out, like, the producer of Unsolved Mysteries was really a jerk on set, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he doesn't have a job anymore.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to call it for the stream then. This was a good long discussion that obviously we need to get together and have a broader discussion about cinema in general, theaters, the direction of filmmaking and all that sort of stuff. Because we have opinions, and we were cramming them into a discussion about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
It came up.
It came up.
It would also because we're talking about the just overdoing
The overdoing it of franchises and all of that sort of stuff.
It kind of makes sense.
But yeah, I'm not saying it didn't.
I think it's part and parcel with the story, honestly. To me, it's indicative of, I was thinking about this movie and how cool that anthology series probably would have been.
Oh, it would have been
You know what I
awesome.
mean?
And same goes for Stranger Things. That would have been awesome
Yeah.
as an anthology too. But
And we never got to see those because they were victims of their own success to some degree. It's
yeah.
like, and it just seems like, and the funny thing is this happened a long time ago, but it's very indicative of where we are today. It's just like, let's just stick with what we know. Let's just stick with what works.
If anything, that was like
again.
it was kind of the first, it was like the canary in the coal mine for things to come, because I don't think
gonna go.
I don't think franchises were really a thing in like the early 80s, like, because there wasn't really, not the franchises that we're all familiar with started back then. Star Wars in 77, Friday the 13th back then, and so all of these movies that we know of as franchises now weren't that back then. So the fact that they tried to make this an anthology and failed, and they killed and they brought back, it was kind of the canary in the coal mine of, okay, we found an IP that's popular, we're just gonna mine the ever-living fuck out of this thing for every penny it's worth. And
it worked.
And it worked.
That's the sad thing is it seemed to have worked quite splendidly. I mean, to a comical degree, where you've got literally 4 fucking timelines of the exact same story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to fill the 15 years after the first movie. It's like we've tried it 4 different ways at this point. You know what I mean? How many more which ways can a fucking guy in a shitty William Shatner mask terrorize the neighborhood? You know?
We'll find out the new cinematic.
Yeah, they're
universe.
gonna, buddy. You asked that question, but fucking
I know, I
Miramax
should've.
is launching a goddamn cinematic universe over a guy in a William Shatner mask and a knife. There's gonna be the Avengers Endgame of Halloween, I guess, where there's gonna be every iteration of Michael Myers
they're all gonna come in
that there ever
multiverse.
was. Yes, in a
the
multiversal
multiverse,
story.
yeah.
That's the thing too, is like the Flash is really a snake eating its own tail, because it's just like everybody, yeah, man, we can,
just
it's
get them
just
all
an
in here.
attempt to
Get them all
square
in
the
here.
circle.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna end this. Night, Devin. Yo, thanks, Poxborn, for joining as always. I appreciate your support. Thank you, everybody. Bianca, Haunted Taco, Maniacal Toaster, everyone that stopped by. Always appreciate your support on this surprise Monday stream. Usually, I don't stream on Mondays, but this was the best time for us to get together and do this. And I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow. I think with Lulu, we're gonna be going back to Layers of Fear, which we started playing a couple weeks ago.
I passed that.
Layers of Fear?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Passed it
We're playing
on
2.
the PS.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
I haven't played the first
Although
one,
I
but
think 2 is basically the
the
first
same
game
thing.
we've
Yeah,
done.
yeah. That game scares the shit out of me. But
Really? It
yeah.
was pretty good.
Okay,
I liked it.
I got to play the first one then, I guess. But we're playing the second one.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Let me
yeah.
guess. You're a guy, and there's a painting, and you investigate what happened with the painter and his wife. And as you do that, the painting gets more and more filled in.
No, we're on like a. Do you remember many years ago we were trying to do that game called The Grotto? We had it like set on like a 1900s cruise ship or something like that, or we were going for that vibe. It's basically that. You're in the 20s. You might be an actor. You're examining some kind of a tragedy that may have occurred involving this ship. The ship is haunted itself, so I'm not really sure. I'm still early on in it, trying to unwrap the story, but the general setting seems to be then. Like you're an actor from like the silent era, or
that's
maybe
cool. That actually sounds more interesting. Maybe I'll play that.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a remake of the first one. The first one, basically, you're like a person that shows up at this mansion that used to be owned by this famous painter.
Yeah,
and he has this painting that he was working on, and it's all fucked up looking. But as you kind of go through the mansion, you encounter a spirit, and scary stuff happens. But you also start to unravel what the hell happened to his wife and their whole story.
Yeah,
and as it unravels, the painting gets more. The painting's constantly changing. That's pretty cool. It reminded me of that episode of Night Gallery. Did you ever watch that show, Night Gallery? The one where the paintings all change.
Wait,
Well,
I've only seen the one Spielberg did. I don't remember which one it was.
Oh yeah, so that was a pretty cool show.
It reminded me that just reminded me of the Witcher 3 expansion, Heart of Stone, where he has that painting he goes into at the end with the woman and all that. It seems like it's the same
general
general
vibe. Night
vibe.
Gallery that's like that. Night Gallery is a cool show. If you ever that is a cool show. If you can find it on, I don't know where you'd find it. Maybe on YouTube. Also, the original In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy is a cool show.
You know what I've been looking for that I can't find anywhere? The original Tales from the Dark Side series. It's not available anywhere, which is a real bummer.
No one's throwing it.
It's not even on Pirate Bay or something.
I'm sure if I wanted to do that, it's on there somewhere. I'd have to figure out. I wouldn't want to watch it on like my laptop or anything. But
that's the funny thing. I haven't used any kind of torrent thing in so many years that even if I wanted to right now, I wouldn't know how to do it. I'm like, I don't. I mean, I could probably set something up to do it. I just, I've gotten so used to just being able to easily access shit that, it's available somewhere. If it's not on Prime, it's on Paramount Plus, or if it's on Apple TV or Hulu or whatever. And this is nowhere to be found. So, you know what? I want to let's put an earmark for another topic we should all talk about. Because I think Kelly would have he seems like you're like a physical media guy, right? You got a lot of physical media.
No, actually, not anymore.
That's
the thing. Okay.
When you first moved in with me, you were in the process of getting rid of all of your physical media.
Okay, just think about it. 10 plus years ago, I had over 1,000 movies, but divorce made me lose some. And also, we kept moving. I used to have a wall with those, the shelves Best Buy sold that were made for DVDs? I had almost 3 of them full, but then we moved into a place I couldn't fit, so I had to buy binders. I just couldn't do it anymore. And then when the split happened and some other stuff, it just made me think I can't keep doing this. And I only imagine how many more would I have now. No, I just think because I gave up books, I gave up most of my comics. I kept records. I still got rid of a lot of those, but yes, that's the thing I still have a lot of. Yeah, no, surprisingly, everyone thinks that, but I had to stop.
Yeah. I mean, they're not wrong. You just hit a limit.
You were just saying you had all the.
And then Voodoo getting to move them all to Voodoo they had that deal where scan your actual one and you get to put it on your Voodoo account for $1. I went nuts into that and added almost all of them that way.
Yeah.
So that's why,
So there are 2 things that happened that made me really start to think okay, shit, we might be fucked. One is that my wife wanted to watch The Others for Halloween. She wanted to show it to my daughter because it's a scary movie that's legitimately great, and it's not so scary that a 10-year-old can't watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we went to try and watch that. Impossible. Can't watch it. You can't. It's not streaming anywhere on any streaming service. It's all every you go on Amazon to buy it. It's like, sorry, this movie's unavailable right now.
The others?
The others with
Not even
Nicole
a rental?
Kidman, as of like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. Maybe in the last 2 weeks it's become available, but 2 weeks ago I couldn't get it anywhere.
Go to Just
And
Watch.
so I even went to I Love Video, and they were like, yeah, we've
Throw
got
the
it
new
here,
one.
but they couldn't find it. You know what I mean? They're like, it's here somewhere, but we can't find it. And I was like, okay.
It's here somewhere.
That
Okay.
I haven't gone back in there. I was so excited for that place to happen. I even gave them money from the start, but we went to that soft opening party and something, and it's like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
What is it? Is it literally just a warehouse with movies in a box?
I was sold on, they literally had I Love Video's like inventory.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. It seems like they just got people to give them stuff. And maybe that first weekend I went, everything was gone because everyone's excited, but it wasn't. I know they were trying to hurry up and do it, and I feel bad. I was supposed to volunteer and I never did.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't. And this was also months ago. It's probably 10 times better now. This was June. I need to go back.
When did you go?
They had a lot of stuff. It was about a month ago.
Yeah,
We
I
were
need to
trying
go because
watch-
stuff still seemed
we were
out of
trying to
order
watch
and not. Yeah,
the others. You know,
it's just not like
I mean,
it was.
looked cool.
in I Love
It
Video.
looked
Yeah.
cool.
It
But
says you
it
can
ain't
rent
not
it
everything I wanted.
on a few services.
I tried that. Where does it say that? Because I
Says-
tried to rent it everywhere.
It says Apple TV, Amazon, and Vudu.
See, I don't think it's actually available in any of those services. Let me go on Amazon and see if you can rent it now.
It looks like it might be.
Because it says it is, and when you try to go rent it, it says it's unavailable.
Devin's gonna accidentally
Oh.
spend $5.99.
No, I'm not doing that. Not again. But
I'll actually try and rent it right now if I can. Cause
yeah. So I guess what you want to talk about physical media?
Well, I want to talk about there's two things happening that I think is kind of weird. Like when I wanted to watch this movie, it was unavailable anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I couldn't watch it. It was, I mean, I guess I could have gotten a fucking VPN and seen if it was like region blocked or something
Yeah.
like that. Okay, so I can buy the Criterion Collection 4K DVD, which they can send to me in 2 days.
Is he not seeing the
let's
link
see
you're
if I-
seeing?
You must not be seeing the link I'm
You're
seeing.
just on
Hold
Amazon.
on, I'm seeing it right now. I'm on Amazon. If you go to it to buy it, it says the video is currently unavailable to watch in your location, so you can't rent it. Not on Amazon. I was on Vudu too, and I tried Apple TV, and this is so I don't think it's changed.
Do it, Devin.
But if I
just
want to
to
buy the
prove.
4K DVD from the Criterion,
I don't think I'm
Collection, I guess
signed
I can
in.
do that.
I think you did.
Wait, am I signed in on this? I was just able to rent it.
Devin's like, I just spent $6.
Wait, wait, what?
Are you on a VPN? Because dude, I
No.
can't rent it. It says this video is currently unavailable.
Wait, first, on a side note, since when do old movies cost $6? That's usually like the cost of like. new
Yeah, you're
ones.
right. You're right.
I just thought of that. That
Thi-
should have been like $2.99.
This is the movie you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the Kidman one.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
can you watch this?
I just clicked on it. It said maybe you're hitting a different link than I am, but I
no,
clicked.
dude, I'm on the exact same link you are.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm logged in.
Yeah, I just had a button that said rent. I clicked it. It said, "You sure?" I clicked it, and it was like, "All right, you got 30 days to start watching it."
I want to share my screen with you to show you. How do I share my screen? Check. This will stop.
Yeah.
Screens. Yeah. So let's see here. There we go.
Well, I guess maybe I can watch this movie tonight then.
Yes. You know,
See, this is what it says
that
for
is-
me.
Are you sure you're not on a VPN somewhere else?
I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't even know how to do
I mean,
that.
it's Amazon. Yeah, it's not even Amazon. I have
And
no.
I'm logged in too, dude.
That's
Like, why can't I watch this movie? Anyway,
peculiar.
maybe it's localized to my house.
Yeah,
my
it's like
location-
you specifically.
Yeah, Justin, I'm sorry. Your others' privileges have been revoked. Anyway, so I mean, but assuming that there are some movies that you just can't get, but then there's also movies that are changed, and you can't get the original version. You know what
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that. I think is a little weirder because now with streaming, they can pretty
Yeah, they can
much
update a movie or whatever.
McClunky,
on the fly.
whatever they want.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes I don't want to watch an updated movie. Like supposedly, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? I think that's a little weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I'm not a fan. There
Both
was
for
a there
good
was
or ill, you know.
there was something that did that recently that really pissed me off, but I can't remember what it is. But yeah, I'm not a fan of like retroactively changing, because it also just like in addition to just kind of being weird, with respect to like the final product of the piece of art that somebody put out. It also fucks with you psychologically. It's like a Berenstein Bears sort of thing,
I
you know.
agree,
And
yeah.
it's like, wait a second, didn't this happen? Like, and like it's already bad enough that like the whole of human society seems to be spiraling towards a rapid disagreement on what reality is, without having all of these weird incongruities like fucking with what we thought a movie actually was when they updated something behind the scenes. Like, oh wait, his head went like this when he shot, or
Yeah.
it's like, fuck,
And
man,
it's-
just let something be, leave it be.
Yeah, even if it's got some stuff in it that's a bummer, it's like,
Yeah,
we can make that part of the conversation. It's like, well, that was some bummer shit. You know what I mean? Let's talk about it instead of like, let's pretend it never was a bummer. You know what I mean? That never happened. Everything has always been amazing. It's like you don't learn anything from that. I don't know, man. Some of this shit, the way it's pretty fucked up. It reminds me there was an episode of Star Trek or Stargate SG-1 where they go to this planet and everyone on the planet, like, when I say planet, of course, it's like
Yeah.
Star Trek TNG or whatever.
Soundstage.
It's like 40 people. It was like 40 people in a village. That's the whole planet. You know what I mean? But they're all connected to this computer called the Link, and it goes to their ears. And it's basically like, oh, we're all wired into the same network, so we've got all this knowledge. Everyone here we've got knowledge at our fingertips immediately. And they've been like that for a super long time. Like when the babies are born, they put them on the Link, and so it's very similar. I mean, basically, they made it back in like 2001 when the internet was just in its infancy compared to where we'd be now. But now it's really apropos. But it's like what ends up happening is certain characters end up going missing, and because the crew from SG-1 aren't on the Link, they're like, "What happened to Steve?" And they're like, "What do you mean, Steve? There's no one here named Steve." And they're like, he was here yesterday. Like, what the fuck? Where'd
Yeah.
Steve go? It's like, we're looking at our records and there's no one named Steve. Steve never existed. No one really remembers anything because it's not on the Link. Their brains, like, over time, they're just like,
Yeah.
And so the Link is constantly making people disappear and changing shit, and no one ever notices because they're just so dependent upon the Link. You know what I mean? And so eventually it takes the crew to be like, guys, the Link is kind of fucked up. It's fucking shit up and changing a bunch of shit and it erased your son and stuff. You know what I mean? And of course, they start to remember, and they eventually goes, the Link is bad. They take it off, and they're like, what do we do now? We don't know how to do anything. It's like, you'll learn. Okay, see you guys. And then they get in their spaceship and fly away.
In our reality, they would find a way to hypercapitalize the Link. It's like, oh,
No
do you
shit.
want to remember the person who was erased yesterday? Well, just hit this upgrade button and you'll be able to remember Steve.
You'd wake up in the morning and you'd be like, I feel like I had a son. You did.
You
know,
did.
Fred.
Would you like to unlock your son?
You can subscribe to your son for an extra of $2.99 a month. You know what I mean? It's like, what the
Subscribe
fuck?
to your son. My son's doing real bad in math. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that subscription.
Yeah.
Cancel my son's subscription. Oh man. All right, we'll have that discussion in the future, but for now I gotta go. I'm sure
All
Kelly
right.
does too. But Justin, Kelly, thank you for joining. Thank you for talking about Halloween 3 and much more. We'll do this again, hopefully relatively soon. Have these bigger discussions. Everybody, again, who joined, thanks for joining. Got to be streaming tomorrow, so join me then, playing some Layers of Fear 2. Until then, enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. I'll see you guys tomorrow.